Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for a series that has a lot of anticipation. South Africa at home, taking on the Irish, number one in the world versus number two, the defending champions versus a side that want to be right at the top of that mountain. And first, they have to get through this tough South African side, but the game is less than an hour away, ladies and gents. Throughout this build-up, we're going to be looking through at the lineups, going to be looking at some stats with the head-to-head between these two sides, because there are some pretty interesting ones, including the experience that the Springbok side do offer compared to the Irish. But first of all, looking through at the starting lineup for the South Africans, it will be Oxnard in the front row alongside Bongio Manambi and Franz Malherbe. Now, this is exactly what a lot of people expected to see. Malcolm Marx going to bring that impact when he makes his way off the bench later on. And the contest, Eben Etzebeth at 4 with Franco Mostert, number 5. Lineouts are so intriguing to me in this matchup, going head-to-head with Joe McCarthy as well as Tyke Byrne. This is going to be a good one, and I feel like just that one line-out steal that these two sides may get one more than the other could be the difference maker in such a tight contest. Siya Kolisi returns at number 6 after missing out on that game up against the Welsh. He is now back rearing to go for this contest. Peter Steph Toy at number 7. He is a game changer. We mentioned about it in the Rugby World Cup final. He has to do what he did to Geordie Barrett to Bundy Aki here, because if he is able to do so, then Bundy Aki will find it extremely tricky to play that natural game that he has been playing over the last 12 months. Kwagga Smiths moves from number 6, now gets the chance at number 8. It's an interesting change, but it does make sense, seeing as he is great when it comes to getting those turnovers in the breakdown. I don't think this game will be any different. He'll be locking himself over the ball and trying to get possession back for the Springbok side. But looking through at the backline, Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard, they have gone with the experience in the 9-10 channel. Not exactly a bad plan, definitely up against a side like Ireland, who are known for their ruck speed. You want to have control of the game, control of the territory, and that is what Andre Pollard and Faf de Klerk do. Off of the box, Damien de Allende returns at number 12 after coming off the bench in the last game up against the Welsh. Jesse Kriel on the outside, number 13. He scored the first try up against Wales 2 weeks ago. Kutli Arunsa out on the left wing with Cheslin Colby on the right, and Vili Larue to slot in as the number 15. Now, Arunsa and Vili Larue both missing that last game for the Springboks. That was due to the commitments to the URC competition. The Bulls, of course, making it through to that final, and they'll feel a little bit like it was unfinished business in that competition. They had the home field advantage. They had the final at Loftus, but in the end, the Glasgow Warriors were the side who did take out the URC title. Looking through at Ireland's starting lineup, the front three, exactly what you would expect. Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyke Furlong, a formidable 3 that will certainly be up for the challenge against this Bok front row. Joe McCarthy, he had a great game throughout the Six Nations. In fact, throughout that whole World Cup, he has been in some sensational form for the Irish, and also having a great URC season for Leinster. Overall, Tyke Byrne at number 5. You can normally spot him from a mile away because of his blue headgear, but with the blue seats at Loftus, maybe he'll blend in a little bit. But at the end of the day, there are going to be people on every single one of those seats, so Tyke Byrne will indeed stand out. Peter O'Mahony, number 6. This is probably his last tour of South Africa. He is getting up there in terms of his age, brings an acre of experience and wisdom to this Irish side. He'd love to go out on a high. Of course, the last time that Ireland were able to beat South Africa in South Africa, it was actually way back in around 2016, I believe it was, or somewhere around there, maybe 17 in fact, when it was the Irish series. Josh Van den Vlaer at number 7 and Caelan Doris slotting in as the number 8. Those two are normally extremely busy for the Irish, and that will have to be no different in this matchup. Craig Casey and Jack Crowley. Now, when you talk about the obvious changes for the Irish, no Jamison Gibson Park, no Johnny Sexton. That is the big difference, and that could be a massive game changer for them in this game. In South Africa, no Jamison Gibson Park. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Casey. I wonder whether or not he will be able to handle it. Jack Crowley at 10. He's had a good season so far in the URC. He wants to up his game a little bit more at international level, and what better to do it than in a game up against the number 1 side in the world. Bundy Aki and Robbie Henshaw as the midfield combination. James Lowe out on one wing, Calvin Nash out on the other, And probably the biggest surprise of the lineup, Jamie Osborne on debut gets that number 15 jersey. When you talk about getting thrown into the deep end without the floaties on your arms, this is what has happened here. Jamie Osborne, massive chance for that youngster, but also a massive game around the corner. The calm before the storm, says Gadza now. And also last one was with CJ Stander, red year, says Jimbo. I mean, I have got it here. 19 points to 13 was the last time that South Africa were able to beat Ireland. That was actually in South Africa. And when you see some of the names, it's a pretty interesting lineup because at the end of the day, South Africa aren't that different when you look throughout this team. We will look at it in a very short moment, of course. First of all, we will read as much of the chat as we can, though. We have got Richard in the chat, Daniel is here, Leon, Bystander, Peter. Also, we have got Justin here, Krampus, Glenn, Jimbo, Simon, Tanya. Cool story, bro, is here. When's kickoff? Kickoff is in only 55 minutes time, which I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a long time away, but we've got so much to go through before kickoff that I was worried even an hour wasn't going to be enough in terms of the build-up. We have already seen two great international games take place. New Zealand versus England, a one-point thriller going down to the wire, and also Australia versus Wales, another game that had two sides that people weren't sure how they were going to be able to perform in 2023 or 24, to be fair. That is the year we're in. And, you know, they did all right overall. Sticky hands, please, says Anthony Walsh, and play well, Jamie Osborne. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, out of all of the games to play in on your debut for the Irish, they chuck you in the deep end, they send you to South Africa, and they say, you are starting at altitude, and we want an 80-minute performance from you. Now, of course, they have got the options off the bench for this side as well. Looking through for the South Africans, it is Malcolm Marx, Gerhard Stennekamp, and also Vincent Koch, Moura, and RG Snyman alongside Marco van Staden. So the 6-2 split for the South Africans. They announced their side very early on in the week, and it was going to be that question, were Ireland going to follow suit? Were they going to do their own thing? Once again, go with that 5-3. Grant Williams and Sasha Feinberg, Ungume Zulu. That man is versatility personified. He offers fly half, he offers fullback, he offers the centres, and a little bit of a reshuffle. I mean, Grant Williams, he offers the wing and halfback. What more can you want for two men coming off the bench? For South Africa, for the Irish, Ronan Kelleher, Cian Healy, and Finlay Bealham will be the front row. James Ryan and Ryan Beard as the two other forward replacements, with Conor Murray, Kieran Frowley, and the return of Gary Ringrose at international level. He's had a few injury troubles. Same can actually be said about Robbie Henshaw, the man who was starting at number 13. And I'll be a little bit honest, I thought they would have started Ringrose at 13 for this contest rather than Robbie Henshaw. I thought that maybe that combination could have worked a little bit better, but of course, we will soon be finding out. Looking through at the comments, once again, time until kickoff, around 50 minutes or so. So it's a little while. We got 50. It is kicking off at 5 p.m. local time in South Africa, 3 a.m. for us here in New Zealand. Osborne was forced by the main man choosing sevens. Yeah, Hugo Keenan going away. But then they also had Jimmy O'Brien, who might have been an option for 15. And Pollard isn't no rookie kicker, says Anthony. And there was also, I missed the All Blacks game, had a meeting with my parole officer. That seems like a terrible time to have a meeting during the All Blacks test match. And Glassman Ringrose says Claus. And South African with a lot of love for the Irish. And mate, you're a machine. You've been going all day and night. And you're still on point, says Opal. And of course, after this game, we have got Argentina versus France that we are going to be covering on the channel. So if you are new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Congrats, ABs. Wallabies came through. Box to make it 3 and lost Pumas for 4 from 4. And nobody likes the Irish, says Gareth. I mean, the rivalry is certainly building between the South Africans and the Irish as we head towards this test match. Looks like there's quite a few people in the stands already. They are expecting a sellout. And, mate, you have to show the Blazers soon, says Claus. And got some cricket to watch back in 50, says Fluffy. And 3 a.m. you're in. That's true dedication, says Warren. And, yeah, we are popping into about our 5th hour of commentary that we have been doing of the day. By the end of the night, though, we would have done 10 hours of talking. So hopefully the voice is still holding up. Looking through at what is to come for these two sides, before we look at what they have done in the past for the South Africans, they have got, of course, this game that has taken place in only 50 minutes' time. Then from there next week, we do it all again. It's going to be the game at the exact same time up against the Irish, the second test match. I wish it was a 3-match series, so does everyone else, but the South Africans had some jobs to get done. regarding Portugal. They have to try and beat them in 14 days' time. That is when we're going to get to see a pretty experimental Springbok lineup, I would say. But no matter what, it's going to be an entertaining contest for the Irish. They have only got 2 games of their July internationals. Of course, they recently played in that Six Nations in February, but only getting the 2 games here before heading into their November international fixtures. But for South Africa, I feel like this next screenshot's going to bring back a lot of good memories for a lot of Springbok supporters. There we go, the Rugby World Cup roadmap. They started off with a win over the Scottish, 18 points to 3 in their opening game of the Rugby World Cup. And to think that that was around 8 months ago, or somewhere around there, maybe even a little bit longer since that first opening contest, certainly been an interesting process. In fact, it's much more than 8, almost 10 months since that World Cup did take place. Next game was up against the Romanians, winning it 76 points to 0, 13 points to 8. The Irish getting the victory in that Rugby World Cup pool stage. And that is the game that has stung at the moment for the Springboks. Because, of course, they can say we won the World Cup. But the only thing that they weren't able to do throughout the sweep was beat the Irish. And that is something that Ireland, with them being ranked number 2 in the world, with them being right on the verge of that number 1 spot, depending on what happens throughout this series, that is the game that has kept the Irish hopes alive, and that has certainly fueled them heading into this game in South Africa. The next game was up against the Tongans, winning at 49 points to 18. Big Ben Tamefuna getting a bit of a South African fan base after the performance he put on in that contest. And we talk about the playoff games, of course. 1 point. Doesn't matter whether you win it by 1 or 50. A win is a win. And South Africa are up against the French, the English, and the New Zealanders. 1 point in all of those performances. Now, interestingly enough, New Zealand had just played England a little bit ago, and that is the exact same scoreline as New Zealand had up against England as that semi-final for the South Africans for the Irish roadmap. We will be looking through at what they did in their group stage. And here we go. Pool B, they were a part of. Alongside the South Africans, they beat Romania 82 points to 8. They beat the Tongans 59 points to 16. They had that win. They then beat Scotland, and then that quarter-final ended a 17-match winning streak that the Irish had been on, including victories over the South Africans prior to that game. But Six Nations, most recent competition, they were able to win a majority of their games, only losing that game up against the English on the 10th of March. By what margin? 1 point. It's going to be a close game, ladies and gents, or at least it has the potential to be. But the fact that we've had so many games only come down to 1 point in recent times makes me think this one is going to be no different, and perhaps one kick from either Andre Pollard, Sasha Feinberg, Ungume Zulu, Jack Crowley, one kick could determine this game. But looking there, hi there, says Stefan. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. Did you expect lots of kicking from South Africa? Well, fun fact, South Africa were not the team that did the most kicking throughout that Rugby World Cup competition. In fact, it was England, averaging 35 kicks per game. New Zealand averaging more kicks per game than South Africa with 30. So, as bad of a stick as South Africa gets sometimes for being a kicking-orientated team, they were not the most prominent kicking side throughout that Rugby World Cup competition. And do you expect lots? Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And South Africa don't have it in them to beat Ireland. Anyway, I'd like to see a high-scoring game, no soccer being played, says Katzenel. Yeah, though these two defences are normally pretty evenly matched. They don't like to allow the opposition to be able to break through. Going to be a good game, says Rhodes Featherstone. And South Africa has a pending losing streak with France. I also don't think they can beat them, says Katzenel there. Didn't they beat them in the quarterfinal of the Rugby World Cup? Didn't they beat them by that 1 point? Wasn't that the one that we just saw? The last time that the two sides played, South Africa did in fact beat them by 1 point in France. They had the home field advantage, the French. They couldn't make the most of it. Mbok pick and go. We don't contain the South African wings. We as Toast and Nash and Love are not their equals. And also the Irish are missing their All Black scrum half and their best fullback. The Box will run them off the pitch, says Leon. And the referee says, Cats now for this game, it will be Luke Pearce of England who is in charge of this contest. So I am thoroughly intrigued to see what happens in terms of, we can see the TMO overrule on-field decisions. We saw that quite prominently throughout that South Africa versus Wales game that took place only 2 weeks ago. New Zealand beat England 15 points to 16, that is true, and 8-13, but went on to win the Rugby World Cup, says bystander. Exactly right. And that is, I guess, the argument that we find ourselves with at the moment. South Africa, they are saying we are the world champions. Ireland are saying you may be the world champions, but you didn't beat us. So it's going to be very intriguing. There is going to be a lot of tension throughout this 80 minutes, and including time in the build-up for this contest. They might be rusty. That's true. We've seen New Zealand coming into their first game that they played. They looked a little bit rusty. We saw South Africa up against Wales for the first half. They looked a bit rusty. So I do believe that South Africa's best chance of getting a high score up against the Irish here is to really go for it in the early stages of the contest, because we've got to remember this Irish side hasn't been together for too long. They've had different, eggs in different baskets with Leinster, Munster, Connacht, as well as Ulster as well. There isn't this much hype for internationals ever. Going to be a huge bruising battle today, says Simon. Yeah, the fact that this game, it's, for me anyway, this feels like World Cup level excitement from the general population, which is pretty insane to say, because normally you don't experience that kind of World Cup environment unless it's a World Cup. But this one here, there's just something very special about the fact that these two sides are going to be playing today and also next week. And we wish the week after, but of course it is Portugal. You can't battle the box in Pretoria. That energy will count huge. Although, if any side knows a thing or two about doing that, it would actually be Munster up against the Bulls. Now, of course, URC level, not quite the same thing. But don't get me wrong, Munster, in terms of their performance when they did play in South Africa up against the Bulls, they showed exactly what you have to do to get a win over the South African side. Now, it's different at international level, like I said, because the big thing there was the Bulls had a whole heap of handling errors. They couldn't hang on to the ball to save themselves, which I believe was one of the main reasons that we actually did see the struggle from the Bulls and not so much struggle from Munster, because they had enough time to catch their breath. I honestly cannot understand how Ireland is rated number 2. Number 1 and number 2 were decided at the World Cup. Ireland is number 3 or number 4 in the world, says Leon. Although it is based off, of course, the most recent Six Nations as well. They were able to win that competition, only losing to England, and England came third at the World Cup, says Krampus. Is the URC playing next year? It certainly is. We will be covering it on the channel as well. Is the Sharks playing first? Says Crossboarding. The Sharks, if you're talking about the Cell C Sharks or the Natal Sharks, they actually played yesterday up against the Lions, I believe, in the Currie Cup. And we have got there England as number 3. And definitely an extension of the Rugby World Cup, says Arthur Harrison. And Derlinde versus Aki is going to be huge. Absolutely. Those two men know that they have to step up in that number 12 jersey, because if they don't, their sides are not going to get that same go forward that they will be after. We saw Kurtley Arendse scoring tries for fun for the Bulls throughout the URC. We saw Willie LaRue, his kicking game. That is exactly why he has been selected at 15. There were slight debates, and I'm meaning only slight, about Apalele Fassi as a possibility at 15 after the way that he played up against the Welsh. But the reason they have gone with Willie LaRue is because of the way that he can kick the ball. Like I said in the prediction with Tim, I said that Willie LaRue is better at receiving the ball, whereas Apalele Fassi is better at receiving the ball, whereas Willie LaRue is better at returning the ball. So I believe that is why they've gone with Willie LaRue, plus just a huge amount of experience. I think people are not getting how these rankings work. These rankings are based on recent results and yearly matches, not solely the World Cup, says Connor Cahill. And of course, you do get a bit of a boost for the World Cup. But yeah, overall, it is based off things outside of the World Cup competition as well. The loser today cannot play in a green jersey for the rest of the year, says Katzenell. I do not think that's the case. I think they'll be playing in that same jersey next week as a South African. Why does this feel as important as the British and Irish Lions game, says Edward. Yeah, I think it's because of the recent rivalry that has developed between the two. So it's don't get me wrong, it's always been there, just a little bit, but because Ireland have won 6 of the last 10 matches, they are the only side really with maybe the exception of the All Blacks. But the All Blacks are a little bit different because they, in the box, have got such a long kind of rivaled history. More recent times, though, Ireland have got one of the best winning rates up against South Africa out of any side. So that, of course, is something that fuels the flame of the Springbok and their supporters, as they want to show that, yes, Ireland may have won a few games recently, but we're the world champions. We will beat them on our home turf, and we will beat them badly. Box halfbacks, not the best players in my opinion. Not having Lebok in the squad is criminal. Van der Klerk and Andre Pollard are old school and slower than the Reinach-Lebok combo, although maybe it tells you what type of game plan Rassie Erasmus is planning for this contest. If he was going to be doing more of a running-orientated game, I believe he would have gone with, like you mentioned, either Kobus Reinach, maybe Grant Williams in the starting lineup, and then he might have even considered starting Sasha Feinberg, Ungume Zulu, or having Manie Lebok as that running option. But that is not what they've done. They have gone with those two men who are brilliant with the kicking. So does that mean we are going to see more of a kicking-based game for the South Africans in this contest? And will Ireland be willing to run it back? We've got to remember they've got the youngster, Jamie Osborne, at number 15. Can he do a little bit of what Marcus Smith was able to do up against New Zealand, which was run that ball back from inside of his own 22 and make a lot of meters? New Zealand and South Africa respect each other. Today is just about hate, pure disrespect. Says Katzenel there, and Tonga will be Italy next week. And we are going to be covering that one on the channel as well, I should mention. This is probably the biggest game so far of the year. Hope the Box play as well as they can, says Ilmar. And yeah, it's got a big match feel to it, that is certainly for sure. I think people are not... Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And Bull's performance, no reflections on the Box, says Arthur Harrison. Exactly right. At the end of the day, South Africa know how to win a final. And people are forgetting that the only team to beat South Africa during the time they are the best, or they are said that they are the best and played by the best rugby during the World Cup are Ireland. Ireland deserves number 2, says Unleash Mystery. Now, I should also mention, this is not me saying this will happen before people do get offended by this statement, but there is actually, technically, a possibility of Ireland becoming number 1 team in the world by the end of today. Now, my prediction was that I believe South Africa are going to win this contest. But if Ireland can win this game by 16 points, which in South Africa would be absolutely crazy because they have only won one game in South Africa before, and that one was back in that 2017 series. But if they won by 16 points, they would move to number 1 in the world. If they win this series 2-0, they will also be number 1 side. And the world, stop believing the hate nonsense. It's just media crap. Says Jimbo there, and I think Marcus is as good, if not better than Dupont. Says Katzenel. And Lebok has a future with us, but Rassie is making sure he has depth for the next World Cup, so he will be blooding new boys, only picking Rugby World Cup winners, because we need to beat Ireland to validate our cup, says Simon there as well. Now, the last time that Ireland were victorious in South Africa, of course, that was a series that they did lose 2-1. I'm going to bring up an interesting lineup, ladies and gentlemen, or at least I'm going to let you know about a lineup. This is what South Africa had on the field for that game in 2017. Now, you will hear a few familiar names. In fact, they will all be familiar because I'm only reading out the ones who are playing in the game today. In that lineup in 2017, Willie Leroux was the fullback. They had Damien Dialende as the number 12. Van der Klerk was the starting 9. Siya Kolisi was playing number 7 back in 2017. Peter Steph de Toy did not have 7, he had 5. Eben Etzebeth was 4. Frans Malharba, the starting number 3. Off the bench, they had Bongi Umbanambi, Stephen Kitsoff, who is not there, of course, due to an injury today. Morné Steyn was off the bench, but also Franco Moster. So, of that South African side that did play back in 2017 and won that series up against the Irish, but also were involved in the game that Ireland were able to defeat the Springboks. Of this Irish lineup, the only names that are the same, they were both off the bench, and that was Tyg Furlong and Finlay Bealham. Now, in terms of the starting lineup, just the one name there, Conor Murray. He will also be coming off the bench in this contest, but to see the difference in terms of all these young players for the Irish coming through the ranks that we did not see in 2017, compared to South Africa, who have got the tried and tested, the ones who have proven it before that they deserve to be in that Springbok kit. It is going to be an entertaining game, and there will be a battle of experience and also a battle of those younger players who can stand up the most and who can bring the most X factor. If Ireland lose today, do you think New Zealand could move to number 2? We can actually check the Rugby World Rankings calculator to be able to see whether or not that is the case, because of course New Zealand getting themselves the win by 1 point in their contest, so it didn't do a huge amount of boosting for them overall. But at the moment, so what we will do is South Africa to win by that. Okay, so if South Africa were to win this game, Ireland would only lose 0.31 of their ranking. But if South Africa were going to win this game by 16 or more, then that would put New Zealand within 0.1% of the ranking of the Irish. And South Africa, if they won by 16 plus, would move up to 95 in the world rankings. So we've already seen the Australians, they have moved up to number 8. Wales have dropped down to number 11. Italy have dropped to 9. Fiji have gone up to number 10 from that 11 spot. There have been a lot of changes in the overall world rankings, including the USA dropping down to 18th. The team been playing green will win today, says Johannes. And I can't see the block losing at home, says Reflecting Trees, and hope Peter O'Mahony put some roll on. The dirty grub, says Gareth there. Let's see what the fresh 2024 Bok team can do to the Six Nations match fit team, says Arthur Harrison. Although you could say, of course, they have played in 2024. That is one bonus that the Irish have. But is playing in March really going to give you form in a game that's happening in July? There's a long time in between. We saw the Springboks in action last week, or the week prior, up against Wales. And yes, it's only 80 minutes, but that can make a huge difference for the way that you play. Look at the way England played up against New Zealand. They were extremely strong. They also had their warm-up game a couple of weeks prior up against the Japanese. One moment, just choking. We're all right. Don't panic. That water's strong. No, it's all right. We're just a bit red, ladies and gentlemen. We're all right. Don't panic. I'm not panicking. It happens. Who gets the first yellow card? I do think that we're going to see at least 3 yellow cards throughout this contest, and I'm going to say the first one goes against... I think it's going to be Joe McCarthy who gets the first yellow card. That must be vodka, says Edward. No, I just forgot how to drink, unfortunately. Avoiding the Hamish, sometimes your Lotus can fail you at the worst of times, says Connor Cahill. Yeah, it's not the best time to start choking on some water. Surely that isn't something mixed. Or sure there isn't something mixed in that water. No. The sad reality is it's just pure water, which makes me look a bit weak, doesn't it? Can't even drink water without messing it up. But they are just showing the field. It's a beautiful afternoon at Loftus for this contest. Local time, 5 p.m. for the kickoff. So we are only 30 minutes away, ladies and gents, from this match starting. It is going to be epic. It is going to have a lot of feeling in this matchup, and there is going to be quite the crowd. And score, my prediction, I believe, was 22-15 in favour of South Africa. We have got there, I hope TMO doesn't decide the game. The questions we want answered shouldn't involve him, says Jimbo. And also we have got there expecting red card or blood, but definitely seeing red this game. And I feel like there is quite a rivalry. Like we mentioned, like we saw interviews throughout the week. Sia Khaleesi has said that this Irish rivalry is personal because there have been words exchanged. And now, of course, the media are going to blow it up a little bit out of precaution, of course. Or proportion, I should say, rather than precaution. But, like, this is one of those rivalries that just feel different, if that makes sense, in a good way. And you look through at the lineups, like, there's just no weak links. I mentioned about it earlier on. Like, all of the guys who are in the starting lineups have earned their right to play in this match, particularly the Springboks. You look through at this side, it is a World Cup winning lineup. In fact, if we look at what they have out on the field compared to that Rugby World Cup final, there are very limited changes that we have seen. March isn't for another 30 minutes, or match isn't for another 30 minutes, says Connor. And there as well, I don't think we will see anything above 15, says Katzenau. Of course, the last time these two sides played, it was 15 points to 8. Irish eyes won't be smiling, says Marty in there, and South Africa needs to stay disciplined, no yellow or red cards, says Claus. And we know that the TMO are going to be checking everything. We saw that in the last game between South Africa and Wales. Any chance that they had that they could go upstairs and check anything, even if it was tiny, they did so. Box were talking about this for a long time already. Eben, Damien, Rassi, the Irish fellas, all have been in the media talking. We both have a lot to fight for, pump, says Simon. And I really hope that, of course, the fact that they've had a lot of talking throughout the week is massive for the build-up of this game. Everyone kind of feels like they are in that environment. But this game has to deliver. You know what I'm saying? Like, Australia versus Wales, don't get me wrong, it was a good performance from the Australians, but it just felt a little bit flat compared to what we saw in New Zealand versus England. So the last thing that we want here is a poor performance, because if we see a game with a whole heap of drop balls and penalties going against the sides, I feel like that's going to take away from what could be a very special test match if these two sides can get it right. But just looking through at that South African side, ladies and gentlemen, for the Rugby World Cup, we are going to read them off. Let's see how familiar it sounds compared to this lineup. In fact, what we will do is we will put the South African lineup up on the screen. So this is the one for this game, ladies and gentlemen, at the Rugby World Cup final. It was Stephen Kitsoff, number 1, so Oxnashe taking on that jersey, Bongyo Manambi and Franz Malharaba, Eben Netzebeth and Franco Mostert, Sia Kalisi, Peter Steftatoy, and Dwayne Vermeulen. So, of course, Dwayne Vermeulen retired, so that is now where Kwagga Smith gets the opportunity. At number 8, Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard as the 9-10 combination, with Damien de Lende and Jesse Creel in the midfield. Cheslin Colby left wing for that Rugby World Cup final. Kurtley Arendse on the right, and then Damien Belimza at number 15 for the South Africans. Every player that is in the starting lineup that did not play in the starting lineup for the Rugby World Cup final was off the bench. Kwagga Smith, Oxnashe, and also Willie LaRue all found themselves coming off the bench in that contest. So, this is very similar. And we know that this is a side that have a lot of potential to win this one, not just this week. Damien was talking about Irish media disrespect months ago already, and which South African and Irish players have a terrible tackling record, says Katzenau. Well, that's the thing. Like, we can look at the URC as a little bit of an example, but a lot of the guys with the lower tackling numbers aren't actually playing in this contest. The likes of Edwil van der Merwe, Apalele Fassi, those two men were a little bit lower in terms of the tackle completion. Same with Jordan Hendrickse, but all of those men have been taken out of this side, and they are going with what they feel is the strongest. And 13-8, be a great game. We don't need points to be satisfied, says Jimbo. And Rassi we trust. I'm going to still wait and see Murat do something at a professional level that makes me understand why he keeps getting picked. And Stream Frozen, or just my dodgy bladder. Might be your bladder. In this case, what a game it will be. Says Hanger at Pretoria must be off their TTs, or their tits right now, says bystander. And talking to something mixed in the water. We used to take syringes and spike watermelons full of brandy, take it into the stadiums for rugby matches. So did they just let you bring a watermelon into the ground? That's kind of cool. Like, here in New Zealand, at certain grounds, they're like, no, you can't even take, like, a bag of chips in. But, like, if you could take a whole watermelon in, just be like, hey, I've just got my watermelon, I'll just head into the rugby. We have got how's the weather? Is 50.5 thoughts. For the over-under. I think, it should be under 50.5 with these two sides, to be honest. But if one of these two sides were going to run away with a lot of points, I feel it could be South Africa. I don't see Ireland getting a runaway victory here, but the possibility of them getting a victory is still very much a thing. The weather is nice, so the sun is out, the birds are chirping, the crowd is cheering, and it's going to be an awesome game between these two sides. But thank you very much for your donation, Daniel. It is greatly appreciated. I think the highest number of points that we have seen scored between these two sides in recent times was probably about, I think maybe 20 points per team. Somewhere around there. They don't really score a huge amount when they do face off against each other. A little bit similar to when New Zealand play England, how it's always close. And a lot of the games split by less than the 7 points. Now, the last 3 games, though, have been won by the Irish. That one in the Rugby World Cup, one prior to that in the, I believe it was the November internationals in 2022, and then also a game back in 2018, I want to say it was, when they were able to get themselves about a 30-3 win, I believe it was, for the Irish. Bok will smash Ireland by 20 points, says Manny M. And Sun is deceiving, says Arthur, and Hamish says Annie Baby, welcome in. And Samoa showed that second-tier nations need more games outside the World Cup against Tier 1. And the South Africa versus Ireland game in a World Cup, Baniaki intentionally collapsed the maul from the side in the final minutes. The TMO needs to watch Ireland closely, says Claus. Well, the TMO will be all over this game because we're in the situation how we're now in an era where TMOs are able to make decisions live. They don't even have to wait for the reviews or the question coming from the referee. They can just say right then and there, I saw a neck roll, I saw a collapsed maul, I saw a clothesline, I saw an uppercut, and they will be able to overrule anything that the referee says in that moment. And it makes it pretty confusing, I guess, for certain rules. It depends on the Bok team shows up. The Boks need to be more expansive and then look as fast and fluid in attack, says JDB, and Sia Khaleesi hasn't earned his place. Terrible at NATO, predicted by the media at the World Cup. Terrible in Paris. Ireland kept quiet and destroyed CF first half World Cup and said nothing after, but Sia equals weakness. I do know that Sia gets a lot of stick, it would seem, but at the same time, like, that is the skipper, that is the captain of the South African side, and, you know, if you saw Kwagga Smith, what he did in the game up against Wales, you would also say that he probably didn't earn his spot in the starting lineup per se, but then you look at what he did throughout the Rugby World Cup. The fact that he had 8 turnovers, the most one out of any player, I believe, by an extra 2. And if the TMOs, the Irish going to be eating Bok beef, and the TMO in this game, South Africa-Wales, was a massive pain in the neck, he was. And unfortunately, we might see a similar scenario here. We could see a game orientated more so by the TMO calls. I'm hoping it's free-flowing, though. We don't want to see a 2-hour game of rugby. We want to see these two sides be able to play their game and just make it a really enjoyable contest for the two fan bases and also just the world of rugby in general. With the regime of control, it's good. We've got 2 strong captains on field, says Eric. And this game is a big risk for the Boks, says 123MS, although they have got a game next week as well, up against the same Irish side. Just a 2-match series. If Ireland win, there'll be a pandemonium, says JDB. As any other nation, then South Africa ever wore 3 different jerseys in one edition of the Rugby World Cup, says LJ the man. That is something that I do not know. Unfortunately, I don't quite have that knowledge off the top of my head. Greetings, everyone. Hopefully this will be a great game without the referee and the match officials becoming the focus of the match, says Kevin. Yep. We are hoping that it's going to be put down to the players rather than the other sides. You're going to cover Scotland versus Canada. We are not, because it's not being shown here in New Zealand, but they are just talking to Rassie Erasmus before this game. Only 20 minutes away from the kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this contest. It's going to be an epic one, and we are going to be covering it all on the channel, as well as that game next week that we do get to see, and the week after that. The CA is on the blind side, newsflash. Peter Stithatoy is also the blind side. Kwagga is a far better at 6 than Sia. But he only gets picked at 8, so no number 8 for South Africa, says Power by. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised that they didn't go with Evan Royce after the way that he played up against the Welsh, but I believe once again that was down to the fact that Kwagga Smith has that turnover ability in a breakdown, and they know if they can slow down that Irish ruck speed, that is where South Africa can find quite a bit of success. We saw it as a perfect example, England versus New Zealand. That did just happen not too long ago. We saw Maro Itoje, every breakdown, getting in there, trying to cause disruption, and managed to get about 4 turnovers. And that's the type of performance that we may even see from Kwagga Smith. Are you pulling an all-nighter with France versus Argentina? We certainly are. That is the last game that we will be covering of today. But of course, we've got this one first, the 2-hour-long match, possibly between Ireland and South Africa. And nothing to cry about, Crumpus. We compete in a sport from a tiny player base and give the best a good run. There's Jimbo there. You must be tired, Amish. There's Glenn. The tiredness is kicking in a little bit. I think you guys can see that my eyes are pretty well bloodshot at the moment, but that is to be expected. To be honest, at this point, We have to see whether or not... I think we'll still be awake by the end of the night. I know that for the Rugby World Cup, we were getting pretty close to completely exhausted by the end of some of those round robin games, but we've done Super Rugby, we've done the URC in recent times, so we're used to all-nighters, so I don't think this game's going to be too much different for us. It's a shame there can't be extra time in the series. Says Eric, and TMO will stop a lot of bot cheating. Says Jeremy, and same can be said about this Irish side. Like, the TMO, I believe, will be watching this game like a hawk, and neither of these sides, I would think, would be able to get away with too much. Early on in this game, we will see, I guess, the way that it's going to be refereed. Luke Pearce is very strict when it comes to the breakdown, so I don't think he'll take any nonsense. And beware Quagga Smith today, he loves playing at altitude, says Jason there. And you don't speak for all South Africans. Part of the Springbok ethos is respect for our opposition. Just need an insufferable, lonely man that needs a hug. Go hug a cactus. I've never heard that insult, but I love it. Go hug a cactus. I might have to use that one, though. I have to give you credit, Christopher. And Cake's done. Says Eric, his work rate is consistently high. He is great with the ball in hand, and his leadership is greater than other players he's compared to often. Are you the Simon Barnes, the evil, at the London Times, who wrote absolute plinko drivel every week? Media taking L's yet again, says Power Bite. And Cactus Love says Fluffy, and there you are hurting my feelings, says Krampus. Yeah, cactuses need hugging too, I think, or cacti, we should say, is the right use of the word. But we do see both sides warming up at the moment. It is completely shaded at the moment on the ground. Looks like the sun is just about to set as well. Maybe in about an hour or so, it's going to be a nice nighttime game. We see the Boks warming up. We see Ireland warming up as well. Cactus is better than my ex-wife, says Jay. And also we have got there, we can't see Ireland getting close here and give us one tactic on field today. That will definitely happen. We're going to see some box kicks from both sides. Craig Casey as well as Faf de Klerk. We will be seeing that ball kicked high. But what I believe we will see from the Springboks as well, like, that's the thing. Pollard, what's he going to do here? I want to say we're going to see a little bit of a running game from Andre Pollard, but I just don't know if he has that in him. Leicester Tigers, he does it a little bit. But is he going to commit to running that ball forward like we will see from Jack Crowley? I know that Crowley will try and run it, but will Pollard distribute better? And is that where the Springbok can get their advantage in that 10 channel? I like your tie. It's not cack, says Joseph. Cheers. Spucky on the inside and Moist on the inside. Wait, that sounds like me X2. Lots of kicking today. And like, that's the thing, at altitude early on, I think we will see a bit of a kicking territory battle. At all. He does nothing leadership-wise. His work rate. There are 17-year-old players with high work rates. The media, lol, says Power Bite. You really don't like Sia Khaleesi, do you? We're going to ask you the question, though, Power Bite, because this is what they normally do in counselling. What's one nice thing you can say about Sia Khaleesi? Pollard is like a flamingo. He doesn't like getting dirty. How do you know flamingos don't like getting dirty? To be fair, I haven't really looked at a flamingo for long enough to know. And everyone pretending they had girlfriends, says Krampus, and Box back will run the ball towards the end of the second half when the Irish are tired, says Justin. But the thing that will make the Irish tired is a lack of handling errors up till that stage of the matchup. Both of these sides need to make sure that they are brilliant with their handling and that they don't allow that ball to slip through their fingers too often in this contest, because that will keep the tempo going, that will keep the pace rolling, and that is when the altitude really starts to strike these two sides. Looking through once again at the lineup, so ladies and gentlemen, as we get within 15 minutes of the kickoff in this contest now, it will be Otsnishe, Bongi Omanambi and Franz Malharba, just the one change to the front row from what they had in that Rugby World Cup final. Of course, Otsnishe was an impact player off of the bench. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Moster, a familiar duo that have got a huge amount of potential in this contest. Sia Khaleesi, Peter Steph-Toy and Quagga Smith moves from number 6 last week now to number 8. After Klerk and Andre Pollard will be the experienced 19 combination. Damien Dialende and Jesse Creel in the midfield. Dialende coming off the bench last week, or the week prior, up against the Welsh. Jesse Creel scoring the first try in that match up against Wales, Kutley Arendse, Cheslin Colby, and Villy LaRue as the back three. For the Irish, it is Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyke Furlong in the front row. Joe McCarthy and Tyke Byrne in the locking duo. McCarthy having a great season for Leinster, Tyke Byrne having a great season for Munster as well. Peter O'Mahony, Josh Van den Flare, and Caelan Doris as the loose forward trio. They do not have Jack Conan due to his injury, but they have certainly got an impact player off the bench in Ryan Beard. There's a lot of guys who just bring impact. You heard me use that word way too much throughout this live stream, but there's just so many good players out of these two sides. Craig Casey and Jack Crowley as the 9-10 combination, with Bundyaki and Robbie Henshaw as the midfield. James Lowe, Kelvin Nash, and Jamie Osborne on debut in South Africa at altitude at Loftus in a match up against the number one side in the world. Good luck is the best thing I can say there for Jamie Osborne. The fact that they're throwing him in the deep end definitely tells you that it is going to be, like, well, I should say, it just tells you that they back him and they feel like he is the best man for the job. And that number 15 jersey, after Hugo Keenan did decide for the 7, Sia Khaleesi is a phenomenal runner with the ball in hand, and he is honest enough to tell Biz News that he doesn't do any captaincy on the pitch. Says Power Boy. And we have got there, I love the way you say Josh Van den Flare. Says Kitsenel. And there, and she's now in someone else's bed. Else's bed, cacti. And Osborne going to be under many high balls tonight or today. Says Justin, although something that he does quite well throughout the URC is actually, believe it or not, even though he's on debut here, he is actually quite strong under the high ball. So I think that will be a tactic that South Africa try and use until maybe they work out he's not too bad under it, but he has to make sure that he's good early, or else they will target him multiple times. But currently 13 minutes away, they're doing a bit of a song and a dance, doing a bit of the throwing the hands up and all sorts at the moment, and then we will be into the matchup, ladies and gentlemen, between Ireland and the South Africans. I played rugby in Township. You wrote champagne socialist garbage. It made no sense, says Powerbot there. And I would say that the Irish have no chance up in altitude, but as Gareth said, even Glasgow won up there, says Fleshin. And yeah, Munster were able to get themselves a win over the Bulls in the URC at this exact ground. And the way that they were able to get themselves the win was they punished the Bulls for their handling errors. The Bulls could not take a kickoff to save themselves throughout that game. And every time that happened, they were on them. They were keeping that pressure on. And because of so many stoppages, it actually meant that the altitude didn't really affect the lungs. Do that shirt and tie come as a set? They didn't, but I bought them because they looked very similar. And I believe they are actually the same pattern, so it worked out quite nicely. But they weren't a part of a set. I had to buy them separately. You bet we're going to target the debuting player brought in to handle the high ball, says Simon Barnes. And just thought South Africa win gets red for early hit on Osborne. Ooh. You're saying Kutley Arendse or Cheslin Colby in this one? So we have to... so we're going to have a kicking game? I don't think that's necessarily the case. Although the choices of Pollard and Faf de Klerk make me think South Africa aren't opposed to the idea of going for a little bit more of a kicking game in this contest. Definitely not early on. And Suits You Sir, says Fluffy. And international rugby is very different to the URC, says Peter Mason. It certainly is. And the last time these two sides played an international game, it was the Irish who were able to get themselves the victory. But that was not played in South Africa. That was not played at altitude. And that was not after the South Africans had just won a Rugby World Cup. International rugby is very different. And also set. He didn't get it from Pack and Save, says JDB. Carol Erasmus. There are quite a few people. Man is singing Call Meow at the moment. If anyone knows that song, a little bit of an oldie but a goodie. Of course, the song Zombie will be played over the speakers many times throughout this game. And Villy LaRue will be the one writing, or owning, I think that is, Osborne with the high balls, says Christopher Tavette. And something that happened last week, or the week prior, up against Wales. I'll keep on saying that. I'll say last week, but I know it was 2 weeks ago. Apalili Fussy was great under the high ball. And listen to this Rugby World Cup game for us. We'll give them the same respect we gave them in the Rugby World Cup. Don't expect us to go out there risking things. We want to win the series, says Simon. And please make a call to Rassi and tell him 1 point win this game. Too nerve-wracking, says Brian there as well, and hype some originals. Where'd that go? Some originals. This could decide if changes need to be made. Kicking accuracy is going to be the key. England downfall this morning, says Peter Mason, and also almost the downfall of New Zealand. They were just kicking the ball away aimlessly, hoping that something would stick, but it just didn't quite, unfortunately for them. Yeah, they're having a right little dance at the ground. I would not dance on stream, I don't think, just because I'd embarrass myself. Suffering a typical English summer thunder. I can't grasp how huge Africa is, and Fussy is brilliant. He made the squad, got dropped, was given feedback on what to do, addressed it, and he earned a spot back. Look forward to seeing more of him, says Simon there. And Hamish looking very professional, says Rugby. Oh, there's Drakus du Plessis. He's got a big fight up against Israel Adesanya that will be taking place in Perth. Wow. He's only just been in Australia as well. The guy fighting Adesanya? What do you mean the guy fighting Adesanya? That is Drakus du Plessis, the middleweight champion of the UFC, beating Sean Strickland in his most recent fight. And then, of course, Strickland taking the title off Israel Adesanya, which is why those two are fighting in Perth. Not too far away. He is getting the big celebration from the crowd, though. With that UFC belt, he's got his Springbok kit on. A massive fan of them. And let's go Drakus, says Simon in there as well. Of course, Robert Whittaker waiting on the cusp with a possibility of getting... Oh, hang on. He's got a microphone here. He's got to cut a promo. This is like WWE at the moment. Okay, he said South Africa and then something in Afrikaans that I didn't understand, but then they let the fireworks off. He looks like he could be out there on the field as well, old Drakus, if he needed to. Put him on the bench. Make it a 6-3 just for fun. And Damien de Allende to run over the Ireland backs. What did you make of the Aussie win? Much needed. And, you know, it's one of those ones that they will look at that game and they'll see things that they can still improve on, but it's great that they got a win under Joe Schmidt just because it was really needed. We have got there, you're streaming Canada-Scotland. I don't see it in your live lineup. We are not, no, because they aren't showing it here in New Zealand. We have got there, you're looking great. Your mustache does the talking and the dancing. My stream in China doesn't start until exactly the kickoff. Wish I could see the pre-game. And already they are playing Rassi as the South Africans have renamed the song. And I have moved on from rugby after the last Welsh game. But after some thinking on back, says cool story, bro. Looking through at the starting lineups, they are just showing them now as the two sides are about to make their way out onto the field, ladies and gentlemen, for the Springboks. It is Oxnashe, Bongi Manambi, and Franz Malharba in the front row. Eben Etzebeth going to be slotting in as the number 4 with Franco Moster alongside him in their locking duo as the number 5. Sio Khaleesi, Peter Steftatoy, and Quagga Smith at number 8. Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard, two men who are known for their kicking, but is that the tactic that we will see from Rassi Erasmus's box, or will we see more of a running orientated game with the backs on the outside? Damien de Allende and Jesse Creel back together, and Kurtley Arendse back into the side after his URC campaign with the Bulls. Same with Billy LaRue. Chesley Colby returns to the right wing for the Irish. It is Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyg Furlong in the front row. Joe McCarthy and Tyg Byrne in the locking duo with Peter O'Mahony, Josh Van den Flower, and Caelan Norris. At number 8, no Gibson Park and no Sexton for this Irish team, so Craig Casey and Jack Crowley are given the nod to start. Bundy Aki and Robbie Henshaw in the midfield with James Lowe, Calvin Nash, and Jamie Osborne as the young number 15 on debut. There we go. We've learned how to drink water. Last time we did that, we choked on it, as some of you who were here for the build-up will know. And the Drakus would make a good centre, says Arthur there. He's also got those really long arms, though, so maybe in that loose forward trio wouldn't be a bad spot for Drakus du Plessis. The two sides making their way out of the tunnel now. The tension is starting to build, ladies and gentlemen, and it's one of those ones that now, with how close we are in this contest, you just get that feeling like something's about to go down. We're about to see history between these two sides. Everyone is excited for this matchup, including myself, including those in the chat. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated, you all being here for this match. But Peter O'Mahony makes his way back out onto the Loftus Park. If you dominate Ireland's forwards, game over. Says Drink on the Moon. Oh yeah, let's go. This is real test rugby to all fans enjoy. Says Arthur. Oh, sorry, your name's not Arthur. Your name's Rugby. I don't know where I got Arthur from. I don't think anyone's called Arthur in the chat. Adesanya spends more time doing his nails than train. He's done. Says Christopher DeVette. Although, to be fair, he was an extremely active middleweight champion up until he did end up losing to Sean Strickland. Like, I think he had fought about maybe 5 times in the last year and a half or something like that, which is very active for a champion. It's going to be a nice match, says Tokozani in there. I've been called worse than Arthur, I'd assume so, and Sexton is too sexy for his shirt. I haven't actually seen Johnny Sexton at the game so far. I'd assume he's over in South Africa enjoying the atmosphere, but we're about to see the 3 Warriors make their way out onto the field. They are fired up in the tunnel and burning cheers coming from both sides. Just had to take a big deep breath there and take it all in. The fact that we are about to see these two sides go head to head. South Africa versus Ireland. South Africa have only lost 1 game to the Irish in South Africa. Ireland have won the last 3 against the South Africans, but the South Africans have won the last 2 Rugby World Cups. As he is an alcoholic, he should quit before it's too late. Says Katza now, and hope the DJ doesn't ruin the game like he did the URC final. And Bok, reading helps comprehension and show business since the game went pro. Talk it up, says Jeremy. And there as well. Now, Sia Khaleesi leading his South African, I should say, side out of the tunnel. Sorry, they got so many green lights in that tunnel that I got confused at who was coming out. And man, I can't wait to watch the Off the Ball podcast after South Africa win. Will we get to watch the match, or is it just the commentary? So it is just the commentary here. Unfortunately, I don't like how they deprive of such games on TV. I 100% agree. Which sounds weird for me to agree, seeing as if it was free to air, we would lose a lot of our audience, but I agree. They should have these type of games free for those in South Africa, for those in Ireland. International rugby in general just should be, I believe, free to watch. And then you have the franchise stuff as the ones that you have to pay for. And you had ready or playing already. What's the temperature at the game, guys? Says Jimbo. I haven't actually seen a temperature gauge at the moment for this contest, but I believe it'll be sitting around the 15 degrees. I want to say it might be a little bit colder at the moment for these two sides, but they have both made their way out onto the field. South Africa, of course, supporting that green and gold. Ireland wearing that classic green. And didn't know South America were playing, says Eric J there. And congrats on your subscribers, Hamish, says Roof. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be live for France versus Argentina just a little bit later on tonight. We are also going to be live for the game next week between these two sides once more. And we are getting close to 48,500 subscribers. We're only 8 away, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. But the Irish national anthem is being sung, ladies and gents. We are almost ready to go for this matchup. It's 3 a.m. coffee and duvet. Box better win this. I'm half asleep, and this should be at least live sound like the NBA, says Katsanel. And I've got a load shed load of games, and stop showing the year's free time to stop them, says Smith. And we'll drop to 10 degrees, says Arthur, from 15 degrees. But Ireland's call is being sung at the ground. And there's a little bit of an Irish contingency by the sounds of it in the stands. Maybe not quite as much for the Irish in the stands as the South Africans, but still a decent amount of support for this Irish side. But the pool here, we don't have a snowball chance now to win this. We love the underdog Ireland by a few, says Dennis. And there as well. But the Ireland call has been sung, saying remain standing for the singing of the South African national anthem. This is going to be loud, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a sold-out crowd at Loftus. What time does it start? In about 2 minutes. After the national anthem. The two sides will take to the field and they will be ready to go for this matchup. And yeah, the crowd are absolutely singing from the top of their lungs for the South African national anthem, trying to fire up their side, trying to get their side in that mindset of going out there and putting on a massive showing. And Hamish, who's going to score first, Ireland or the Bok? Oh, it's a hard one. Do you know what? I honestly, like, my prediction was South Africa to win, but I do think we might see an early try from Ireland. I'm not going to say they're going to score a huge amount of them, but I have that feeling like there's going to be one gap that wasn't supposed to happen, and then the Irish are going to sneak through, score themselves the early try, and put the pressure on. But then from there, I think South Africa will work themselves back into the match. Springboks to win by 1 point again, says Denzel. I mean, we've already seen one game won by 1 point throughout this weekend, New Zealand versus England, having the exact same scoreline as we saw for the Rugby World Cup semi-final. The crowd are certainly loud, like I said, for this game. A lot of support for South Africa, and of course there will be throughout this 80 minutes. It's going to be Luke Pearce in charge of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go like that. And there we go. And yeah, mate, I'll be watching the Euro. See you, Argentina versus France. That's if I'm not drunk by then. The side that scores first is going to win. And how late does the match begin? In about 1 minute. But they've just finished the South African national anthem, ladies and gents, and the singer decided to stop singing halfway through and let the crowd take over. The atmosphere is built. It's been building for the last month. It's been building since this tour was announced. And now they're about to make their way onto the field. The Springbok are wearing their white kit, ladies and gentlemen. They are in the away strip, or the alternative strip, for this matchup. We have got there, don't pull your nose up at 1 point. That 1 point is incredibly difficult to get, says Peter Lowe. And also, bloody hell, South African crowds always look terrifying, says Fluffy and Showtime, says Arthur. There's Bundyaki. He looks calm. He just made a big smash and tackle on one of his teammates, and then just casually bobbing his head, having a little dance to a song that no one else can hear. I just looking at the South Africans make their way up to the halfway line. I got a little bit of a smile going there, ladies and gents. This is a big game, and it's going to be an epic one when it does end up taking place. But they're in the huddle at the moment for the Boks. I don't know why they are wearing away kit at home as champions. Says Fio, yeah, that's the thing. Like, Ireland's kit, I don't believe actually overlaps or clashes with the Springbok green and gold. If anything, this white away strip with the green kind of, or the teal collar, actually is closer, I believe, to the Irish kit. Definitely when it gets a little bit dirty. And All Blacks have learned from the Springboks, beat England by 1 point, 16 points to 15. That anthem was great tier, says Bystander, and there as well. But the crowd is ready. The players are ready. Peter O'Mahony, he is ready. Looking fired up for this game. Up the box, says Dwayne, or Luane. And I don't get how people aren't used to our white kit by now yet. And we've used it for so long. But it is going to be Ireland kicking off from right to left in this contest, ladies and gentlemen, for the first of 2 test matches between these two sides. It is about to go down, and it is about to be a battle between these two sides. But the wait is over, like they've said. We are ready for international rugby. South Africa versus the Irish, and it will be Jack Crowley to kick this one off, of course, at altitude. He has to be a little bit careful not to get too much distance on it, but Franco Mostert takes it under the high ball for the South Africans. Ireland opting for the short kickoff, but South Africa well and truly up for it. And now Faf de Klerk going for his first kick of this matchup. Kurtley Arendse tried to take it, but it was a strong fist coming from Caelan Doris to slap it back onto the side of Ireland. Joe McCarthy runs straight at Quacker Smith, who manages to break the ball out of his hands, and now the Springbok on possession for the halfway line. Kurtley Arendse, tackled by Kelvin Nash. They tried to hold him up. They've been told to release him. 40 metres out from the line. Faf de Klerk goes back across to Frans Malharba. The advantage for the knock-on is over. Here comes Oxnishie. Tackle around the bootlaces by Josh Van den Flare. Back in behind to Damien Dialende. Big run from Peter Steph de Toy. Doris looked for the turnover, I should say. Eben Etzebeth now with a carry of his own. Already, we've seen about 10 phases between these two sides, 7 of which going the way of the Springboks. Fuff de Klerk goes back to Pollard, who will go with the up and under from inside of his own half. Kurtley Arendse running onto it, and Jamie Osborne save his houses under that one. Nicely taken for the 22-year-old who is on debut. Craig Casey goes back across to Peter O'Mahony, inside ball to Tyke Byrne. Craig Casey had his hands on the ball, and that ball was almost out. Fuff de Klerk may have had an argument there. Craig Casey putting it up high, deciding that returning a kick is the best way of combating the Springbok side. Willie LaRue under the high ball is safe as well. The jerseys are similar, giving confusing the enemy. Says Kapoor there. Yeah, I swear the green and gold would have been less close in the colour scheme than this one, but Pollard goes out to Damien de Allende. Now Peter Steftertoy. Tackle missed by Bundyaki, but offloaded back inwards from Peter Steftertoy to Damien de Allende. De Klerk and behind to Umbanumbi. Pollard finds the hands of Willie LaRue. Flat ball to Jesse Creel. He's got plenty of pace to work with, but he goes to Khaleesi. Quick hands to Kurtley Arendse, who looks like he's good for going through. Kurtley Arendse, 2 minutes in. Osborne sold the wrong way. Nash no chance of stopping him. And South Africa have got the first try in the contest. And that is quite the way of starting a match at Loftus. Getting over the try line within 3 minutes. Listening from Hotel in Fiji, says Wes Findes and there as well. But great work from the South Africans. It's thoroughly impressive the way that they've been able to attack there. Jesse Creel put it on the outside to Sia Khaleesi. The assist goes down for that man. And Kurtley Arendse just selling Osborne the wrong way with a step from hell. And manages to get the first try of the match for South Africa. And we have got there, come on Ireland. And South Africa says bad rate, chick chick boom. Says Arthur there. Damien is looking slim, hey. And what colour is that? Teal. Looks like a 1950s Formica kitchen table. And runaway boys, let's go. But Kurtley Arendse just so dangerous when he is on the field. And that time was no different. Pollard safe with the kick. And that makes the score 7-0 now for the South Africans after 4 minutes. And that has lit this Loftus crowd up. And that Kurtley step, JOH. But yeah, this is a great step here. Calvin Nash was going across and he's just sold both of them in the same motion. Osborne's disappointed. And I might be recovering the game. I'm at a wedding reception, but following, says Rajin. So we do appreciate you being here. Hopefully the wedding is going smoothly for whoever is getting married. Who has a wedding on the same day as South Africa versus Ireland, though? They didn't plan that very well. Quagga Smith dropping that ball. And now it gives the Irish an opportunity from inside of South Africa's 22. And that try was too easy. It was. Like, the defence was poor from Ireland, and they certainly made them pay. Kurtley Arendse made it look so good, says bystander. But now it's going to be the scrum after the drop ball from Quagga Smith. Unfortunately, just not able to regather that off the kickoff. A little bit similar to what we saw for Munster versus the Bulls. The Bulls struggled with the kickoffs all throughout that game, but nicely claimed by Ireland, who are on the 22 at the moment. Here comes Bundyaki, throwing himself at Damien de Allende. Nice step from Dan Sheehan. Not normally too many gaps in the Springboks defence. Well handled by Robbie Henshaw, who wasn't actually expecting the pass from Peter O'Mahony. That one's a nice one. Jamie Osborne tackled low by Franco Mostert. Now Craig Casey across again to Porter, who gets them within 5 here. The 5 phases as well. Doris goes short ball to Dan Sheehan. Oh, they have to put him down. He almost crawled himself over the try line. Porter now drives low. Brilliant step from Damien de Allende, but it is going to be the penalty advantage against the South Africans here. Ireland with the short ball to Tyke Byrne. And they're going to try and hold him up. He is now down. I believe that is a new penalty advantage. And that is a new penalty advantage against the South Africans. And that was not me repeating myself with some sort of stutter. That was 2 in a row in that quick of a succession. 5 metres out. 11 phases in now for the Irish. Still under that penalty advantage. Gian goes back to Casey. That's an ugly knee chop there from Jesse Creel. Ireland, they have got the opportunity to have either taken the 3 or kicking for the corner, and they opt for the corner here, ladies and gentlemen. They want a try of their own, and they have to get one, or else they could find themselves really having to chase this game. Their best case scenario is to just get as close to the try line as they can, and then try and build up that next big opportunity. But they're going to take the quick tap. I thought they were going line out, but they have decided that the pick and go is the better way of doing it now to the short side. Caelan Doris, 3 metres out from the line. They need to stay disciplined here. South Africa, Tyg Furlong goes short to Dan Sheehan. Great defence on their own goal line here from the world champions, and that's a loose ball knocked on. And Frans Malabra was able to take it back for a moment. That is now going to be a scrum feed for South Africa. So Ireland turning down the 3. They then went, there's push and shove already. Umbanambi and Dan Sheehan having a bit of a push and shove, but Joe McCarthy gets smacked in the face with the ball, our ISS Blaine, and they are still going here. Andrew Porter and Umbanambi. Cheslin Colby going over, pushing James Lowe with a big smile on his face. But there is feeling in this game, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what Umbanambi would have said, but whatever it was, it's rubbed Porter the wrong way. And he grabbed him straight away. Give away 3 advantages. You definitely take the tap. But didn't work out for them. Well done, boys, D. And where can I watch it? Depending on where you are in the world, depends on your options. For me, it is on Sky Sport here in New Zealand. DSTV is the option if you are in South Africa on Super Sport. Now scrum feed for the South Africans, of course, under the new rules. We will not see a scrum reset from a free kick. Instead, they will have to either kick it or they will have to tap it. It's like Umbanambi is still talking to this Irish front row as they pack down for the first scrum in the contest. And I need a Netflix episode of the tour, says Katzenell. I mean, they've got Chasing the Sun, so perhaps we will see something from this series. Definitely with the amount of anticipation and hype that this series has brought. It's just a shame it's a 2-match series rather than 3. Oh, Fuff de Klerk asking for a pre-engagement there. That one just staying up. Porter, huge amount of strength there from him. Massive push from the Irish, and Kwaka Smith now going off to the short side. Colby manages to get rid of the ball. Oh, that is a fantastic kick from Cheslin Colby, and maybe run into touch by Jamie Osborne. They want to check it. Okay, they're just going to check it. Osborne is not happy though, but when you throw a youngster in the deep end, what do they expect? Oh, he got a hand on it in the field of play, I believe. So I think this one's going to be a line out now for the Springboks. Or did he just completely miss it there? No, it's a South African ball. He did get the finger to it and Bok mean business. I have a set of those dishcloths. And Ireland have not played in the semi-final of the World Cup, and so that it means nothing for Ireland. They have to get to a World Cup final first. 2 Springboks, says Mario. I just about got what you meant. Now nicely thrown in by Franco Mostert. Sio Kolisi goes across there to Fuff de Klerk. Flat attack and run. Crowley manages to make that tackle. Peter Stitatoy, and behind Kwaka Smith goes to Andre Pollard. Good shot coming in on him. That ball's going to keep on rolling, and James Lowe able to force it down for the goal line dropout. So the box score first, and my prediction then is that they will win. Which channel can I watch this on TV? If you are in South Africa, I believe it's on about 207, I think people normally say, for Super Sport. I could be wrong though, but it is somewhere on DSTV. And Kwaka Smith lives up to his namesake. And I drink, therefore I am, says Eric J. Now, Jack Crowley, 15th test appearance. It's a very young 10 and 15 combination. That's a drop ball from Kwaka Smith again. His second knock-on of the match, and Ireland actually upgrading it to a penalty. And that chip from Pollard. Cut their back line too bad, too deep, says Simon there. And thank you, Denzel, says Lebo. Super Smart is playing at not SABC, says Denzel there. Are they not the same thing? Oh no, DSTV, sorry, rather than SABC, is what I meant. And Box 2 Cocky Irish have just won back 6 nations, 3 against the Box. URC Cup So while Box can just play World Cups, even then Ireland beat them, says Smith. And Quagga's having a perler. But that's the thing, he didn't play well in the game up against Wales, which is why it was a little bit surprising that they put him in that number 8 jersey. But once again, though, throughout that Rugby World Cup, he was able to have a massive impact in terms of the amount of turnovers that he was able to get for the Springboks, managing 8 throughout their World Cup competition. Ty Byrne, tackled by Oxnechet, the big front rower, and Quagga Smith giving away the penalty now for player not rolling away. He ripped it out of the hands. And, Quagga catch the ball, and he's just now given away the penalty for Oxnechet not rolling away. Then Quagga Smith ripped that ball out of the breakdown. He's coughed off 2 bombs, and Xmas every day in heaven, says Fluffy there. And it looks like now the Irish are going to opt for the 3-point attempt rather than going for the 7. And that is the smart choice in this scenario. Yes, they could kick for the corner as often as they like, but they have to make sure they don't make the mistake. One moment, we will go like this. We will go like that as well. There we go. And it'll go like that. There we go. Jack Crowley now to line up this kick. 7 points to 0. Can he make it 7-3? Too many penalties, says Arthur. Crowley, normally pretty consistent off that kicking tee, and he has got that one over, making the score now 7-3. Still in favour of South Africa. The Springboks are the best team with their 4th World Cups, having played in 2 less World Cups, says Mario. And also fully loaded Quagga and Popeye's chicken in New Zealand now. And come on, Quagga. Why can't you show the match? Because of licensing. Pretty much any match footage or audio gets you taken straight off YouTube. You get banned for 3 months and you possibly get sued because it is copyright infringement, which is illegal. But we can commentate like this and we do not get put in prison. So that is a good start. And go the Bok, says Jay. That's a good clearance from Craig Casey to relieve some of the pressure. But South Africa, throughout their attack, have looked extremely strong. There have been times where I've wondered whether or not maybe Pollard, rather than kicking, should try and get it through the hands out wide. Give Kirtley Arons to that ball just that little bit more. South Africa is going to win, says 3 ships. Does the 3-point this early reveal a weak mindset or just taking safe points? Heard the argument from enough Kiwis against us in the 2000s. I would say it's an easy 3, isn't it? And it gets you back into the contest. It breaks the rhythm that South Africa have been able to get for themselves. They went for the quick tap and go, and it didn't work out. Andre Pollard trying a grubber in behind here. Osborne has to take it and just manages to stay in the field of play. South Africa jumping all over that breakdown, but they haven't managed to get the turnover. Joe McCarthy, tackled by Franco Moster. Someone sat Etzebeth down there. I think that was Dan Sheehan. Etzebeth, I think he's got a photographic memory, so he'll remember that one for the next time Dan Sheehan has the ball. We have Will Rugby need to realise they will earn more money via social media platforms like this than via traditional media. I hate their stupid strict policies, says Simon. And I'm the biggest fan, but Jesse is doing great lately, says not. Yeah. Jesse Crew at number 13, he wasn't the most popular player maybe a year or 2 ago, but you can't deny how well he is playing currently for the Springboks over the last couple years. William Manumbi to throw it in for the South Africans, well taken by Peter Steph the Toy. Now Pollard crossed to Delende Kolisi, sits down Henshaw, and that looks like a serious head knock there for Henshaw. Tried to tackle him too high, and Kolisi has sat him down. That has certainly fired up the crowd. Drakus du Plessis would be happy with that knockdown and wouldn't mind one of his own up against Adesanya when they do fight in Perth. And Sky should be taken to court to deny Ireland, South Africa, their games we both agree on. That I hope, so yes if you agree. And also Ireland don't have the sparkle in the eye. They played against the All Blacks in the World Cup quarter-final. Yeah, it's just shoulder to the head of Henshaw, and he's crunched his neck in the way that he's fallen. It's not so much the first impact, but it's the way that he falls, and there he kind of snaps his neck downwards. And like they've said there, it's too high from Henshaw. It looks like he's going to be all right to continue in this game, but he's certainly taken a big knock there. Manseer killed Henshaw there. And why the refs stop it, though, says Mr. Allen. I think he was concerned that Henshaw was knocked out, but yeah, in the end, Henshaw looks like he's going to be all right. If not, then they would bring on Gary Ringrose as the HIA replacement. Sit down, son. Yeah, says Simon. And ref shouldn't have stopped play, says Mark. Yeah, I think the only reason he stopped there was because of how close the breakdown was to Robbie Henshaw. Like, if Khaleesi had kept on going forward and he was a few metres away, I don't think they would have stopped it. But just with how close the breakdown would have been, I think Luke Pearce had the concern of South African players running over the top of Henshaw. So that's why it ended up getting stopped. But yeah, it did seem a little bit early. And now the All Blacks were number 1 in 2019, but at least they made to the semi-finals, says Mario. And Ireland looking faster. They can win, just need composure. And Rasmus has to go for an HIA, says Lollipop. I would have thought so. If they've had to stop the game for him, I would have thought an HIA would have been mandatory, but it does seem like he is going to continue in this game, Robbie Henshaw. Rasmus, though, he'll be happy enough with what his side have been able to do throughout this first 15 minutes. They have proven exactly why. Now that number 1 side. Oh, that's an ugly scrum. Both front rows almost standing up before they even got next to each other. Somehow Kriel just finally clicked in the 13th position last season, especially at the World Cup last year. Great for Kriel in the box. That we're not entirely reliant on some depth we didn't think we had, says Kylie. And definitely because, like, Lukhanyo, don't get me wrong, fantastic player, but he has been a little bit out of form since returning from his injury. So, you know, it's going to be one of those ones that I think until Kriel starts to have a couple bad games, he might have that number 13 jersey ahead of Lukhanyo for a little while. Fuff de Klerk has been told to use it now. Nice running from Jesse Kriel. That's going to be knocked backwards by the Irish. And now offload from Jeslyn Colby. Bounce past the Quagga Smith. The man hasn't done too much right so far throughout this game, but at least he's got his carry right there. Fuff de Klerk trying to milk the penalty, and he does in fact get it. Lying on top of Joe McCarthy. Hamish, you beautiful guy. Kriel doing good. Seems like a great game so far. Minox says hubby. And there as well. Now this should be an easy 3 points for Andre Pollard if he wants it. Yes, they do. That's a smart option. Quagga stole possession. Says Unobi, that is true. He got that one turnover earlier on in the contest. I think it's just those few errors from him, isn't it? The 2 handling errors as well as the penalty against him. It's hurt him a little bit. In a box as the on today, says Smith. And also we have got there go, says Jet. And Armour's been out of form, but that's understandable given his recent history. His potential, we all know, is the best in the world. I'm excited to see the depth we develop this Rugby World Cup cycle, says Simon. But yeah, it was interesting looking through at the past games that have happened between Ireland and South Africa and seeing the fact that the last time that Ireland were able to beat South Africa in South Africa, which was also the only time that they have won in South Africa, a lot of these names that are in the side for South Africa were familiar, whereas Ireland, the only 3 players who were there were Finlay Bilham, Tyke Furlong, and Conor Murray. Whereas we saw Damien de Allende, Vili LaRue, Fuff de Klerk, Peter Steftotoy, Sia Khaleesi, Moster, Etzebeth, Malharba, all there for the South Africans back in that 2017 contest. But now, 10 points to 3 after the successful kick. How bad was Marcus Smith goal kicking last night? Well, says Enoch, it wasn't quite as bad as Damien McKenzie's. I think McKenzie actually had less off the kicking tee. Now nicely taken by Quagga Smith. The crowd let out a massive roar there as he has been able to take it cleanly. And Sasha Feinberg and Zulu really proved his mettle, says Denzel. Now de Klerk. Going for the kick downfield. And that one's gone into touch. London Broncos 30 points underdogs, winning 16 points to 10, says Daniel Lee. And thank you very much for the donation, mate. Usually appreciated. Yeah, Quagga caught the ball, and Peter Steftotoy tried differently. And bring back Elton Yankees, says cool story, bro. And there as well. In 2017, so another fine record of Alistair Kurtzia, says Kylie. Now going to be thrown in by Dan Sheehan for Ireland. Oh, that was a hesitation. Yes, it was. Dummy throw from the hooker, which now means that it is a scrum, or at least it's a free kick, for the South Africans, which I believe they are allowed to take a scrum off And now the All Blacks were number 1 in 2019, but at least they made it to the semi-finals. You put that one, Mario. The media have stopped Ireland number 1. Ireland have never played in the World Cup semi-final. And I go janking my heart. Looks like Andre Pollard is just going to go for a massive up and under here. And down towards the 22, O'Brien calls for it and takes it well. Oh, sorry, that was Jamie Osborne. No Jimmy O'Brien in the starting lineup for this contest. Craig Casey going for the box kick. Got a bit of distance on it and trying to slap that one back was Calvin Nash. Malharba cleans it up. Now Mostert goes across to Pollard. Willie LaRue tries his cross kick in behind. Cheslin Colby chasing, but the ball does go into touch as Rhino and Americans team says, cool story, bro. Hey, I want to see Elton make a tee out of a pile of coke. 20 minutes in, already a quarter of the way through this fixture, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, Willie LaRue just testing out the cross kick there, seeing whether or not it would work out for him. And once again, they are playing zombie at the ground. I believe that is the third time since this game has got underway that we have heard that game in the background. Now nicely thrown in. Now across in behind. Put high from Jack Crowley. Crossways. Nash knocks it back. I think that's come off the knee of Jamie Osborne, but he didn't want to grab that ball. Aronsa does, though. Okay, the first one was okay. Second one wasn't. I think it's going to be the option here for... Okay, it was put out and then knocked on, or knocked on, then put out, I think they've said. So South Africa have opted to go for the scrum. I wish that was a good test. I was under the impression you would automatically read anything, so I was considering sending something crazy. But since you censored, I guess you're more experienced, says Simon. And cheers, Kiwi lads. Cold as morning, blocked by 20 plus, Sammy. We have Bryce at the game. Handling error so far, 3 for Ireland. Maybe some early nerves. It's not quite going as smoothly as they would have liked, but they are only 7 points down at this current point in time. The DJ at Loftus is a moron, says Lollipop. Crowd is certainly sold out, loving the atmosphere of the stadium and playing zombie. It's tacky during gameplay. Says bystander. It's probably not zombie, mate. It's Rassi instead. Yes, it is Rassi. But yeah, it is the song Zombie for the third time. But now Faf de Klerk in behind to Pollard. Quickly Arons. Just not quite able to go through. And Bundyaki thought about going for that turnover in the breakdown to sides against him. Mostert in the middle of the field. Oh, big clean out coming on, I believe it was Tyg Byrne, forward pass, but it's gone into the hands of Sheehan, who manages to regather for the Irish. Willie LaRue taking a bit of a risk and not getting the reward for it. Now Doris, they're already playing under penalty advantage at the moment, or sorry, scrum advantage. If you're reading fast, mate, just figure you weren't. We're in autopilot, says Simon. 40 metres out from their line here for the Irish. Again, Tyg Byrne with that bright blue hair gear. This could be, no. Going back for Crowley. Again, going high, uncontested for Willie LaRue. Gets his offload to Damien Dialende. Another big bump off from him. He sat Peter O'Mahony down twice in a row. And both times O'Mahony missing his tackle. Clerk, cross to Quagga Smith. Defence on Pollard, Willie LaRue, going now to Jesse Creel, passing the outside to Peter Steph the Toy. They're working with so much space at the moment. The Springboks one-handed offload to Cheslin Colby. And he will now be only 10 metres from the try line. Counter ruck coming from the Irish, and Faf de Klerk knocking the ball on. Good pressure in the breakdown from the men wearing green. And Am and the Pollard and de Klerk, Brigade career over. Says Stefan, an opinion on our boys, Sammy. What you reckon? Well, we are going to have a video coming out probably a little bit later on in the night, possibly. Actually, tomorrow morning we might bring out a video about the All Blacks performance, but a little bit rusty. You'd have to say that Damien Stefan says Simon and the Springboks are the best team with their 4th World Cups and played in less World Cups. You said that as well, Mario. You got it already in the copy and paste section. And Rassi says Uno Beer, any builders' helmets in the crowd? Builder's helmets. Is that a reference to something else other than like a literal builder's helmet? Or is that an actual builder's helmet? We got to check Rassi. Says Uno Beer. 24 minutes through, and it will be the scrum feed for the Irish. The pressure is far from gone, as they are only 10 metres from their line. The best case scenario here is to win the penalty to then be able to clear their lines. Oh my God, that sideline camera was a thing of beauty, says Simon. You won't score try sitting down, Ireland, says Fluffy. Now the Springboks will want a big push at scrum time. Here comes Craig Casey to put the ball in. Massive role for him to play in this game. That was a big push from the Springboks. Oh, hang on, Luke Pearce. Yep, it's going to be a free kick there for Ireland. He was about to blow his whistle, then took it away and said, you have to do that. So Craig Casey sat there like, and got a little bit confused by it, but the free kick going against Frans Malherbe. Now they have the option of either a kick for the touchline, or they have got the option of the tap. And it looks like they are kicking for touch. I check Bundyaki, I meant, says Uno Bear. And Crowley does get that one into touch. It's going to be about 40 metres out from their line here, Ireland. And watching from Czech, good job, mate. And go to the box, says Paul Kutsia. And they're currently 25 minutes through, the Springboks starting this match exactly how they would have liked with that lead, 10 points to 3. But I'm sure they want another try before we get to half-time. Ball was almost stolen at line-out time. Like Craig Casey trying to strip it off Oxnashire. That was always going to be a pretty tough job. Sheehan makes the tackle on Frans Malherbe. Again, Pollard will kick this one high. It's swirling in the breeze. And Kurtley Arendse. Looks like there might have been a knock on there from Arendse. In fact, it might have actually been Der Lindy who was close to knocking it on, but Pollard going back across now to Willie Larue. Again, they are attacking, but Willie Larue misses the pass. In the end, it finds Chislin Colby. Peter Steph-Totoy has had a huge amount of running metres throughout this game already. He has been in that back line as a prominent feature. And the snubbing of Wilco Low after his URC says Afiwe. Although I think he's in the players who are on standby, isn't he? If I am correct. Great work there from Caelan Doris. Steals the ball out of the breakdown. Faf de Klerk tried to get the penalty, so he fell backwards. That's a rough pass from Ireland. It takes them back into their own 22. Crowley can't kick this one out on the full. And it is out on the full. Big mistake from Ireland again. Inexperience from Jack Crowley. And no time for humble time. For learning Ireland some respect. Says Uno Bear. And no be arrogant. We are world champs 4 times. Says Crumpus. And also you know South African Crumpus. I guess we'll never know. Yeah, Faf de Klerk, as soon as he felt Doris's presence there, kind of went back with the arms in the air, hoping Luke Pearce would give them the penalty. He didn't in the end, but the unforced errors, we've seen 3 from Ireland, 2 from South Africa, but they are in the perfect spot now to counter-attack again the box. Wongi Manumbi goes nicely. Now Sio Kolesi going back to Eben Etzebeth. Gets through one, but then Josh Van den Vlaere makes the tackle on him. Quagga Smith. Tackled down by Joe McCarthy. That's going to be playing the hands of the 9. Oh, I think Mostert might have just got a bit of a shot there into Josh Van den Vlaere's neck. It was after the penalty had been awarded. What the heck is happening to Ireland? I mean, it's just showing the rust of not having a warm-up game going into a massive contest. We saw it for the All Blacks up against England. We saw South Africa, their rough half that they had was up against Wales the first half last game. But they've had that warm-up stage now. And it's made a big difference for how they're playing in this game. Looking a lot more, I guess, a lot more chemistry out there on the field for South Africa. You pronounce the names well, Hamish, says Uno Bear, but this will be a nice, easy 3-point attempt again here for Andre Pollard. I'll be more than happy how this one has been going. Like that. Currently in the odds, of course, South Africa are considered as favourites in this matchup. Win's a win, Hamish. Give Razor time. He's happy to get that out of the way. And tours used to include games against provinces. Those games were always awesome, says Lollipop, but that kick is good from the South Africans. And that makes it 13 points to 3, and let's go the Bok. At the crowd, there's a lot of green and gold in the stands at the moment. Western Province have beaten the All Blacks twice, says Lollipop. There's a big difference between being confident versus cocky. We deserve to feel confident about our team. Ireland is a good team. We can respect them while still being confident in our team, says Chantel. And hello, Chantel, says Crumpus there. But 30 minutes through, looks like we're having a drinks break. Why are we having a drinks break? Oh, injury to Dan Sheehan. Okay, that makes more sense. I was a little bit confused. I was thinking they aren't quite playing in that extreme heat that we are used to seeing for some of those games in South Africa during the summer. Can I get a shout out, please? And to see West, shout out to you. And Bock Up, says Clayton. I should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 50,000 and we are getting closer and closer each and every single day. So if you want to help us get there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. In fact, we are currently sitting less than the 500 away from 49,000. So let's see how close we can get to that 49,000 by halftime. Naman has said we're playing so well. And also we have got there, when Ireland play their game, they look strong and dangerous, says JDB. And unfortunately, they have just been trapped inside of their own half a majority of this first 30 or so minutes. Forever, says Elric. And great boys, great, says Luane. And there as well. And thank you, says Adesimwe. No worries. And IQ Lad says Ting. And there as well, welcome in. And by these comments on here, you think the game is over? Keep thinking that way, guys. It's Ireland you're playing, says Dennis. But yeah, the crowd is looking fantastic. We've got another game next week between these same two sides. And they will take to the field for the second test match, where they are going head-to-head. I should mention anyone who is new. Like I said, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are back next week. And we are back a little bit later on for Argentina versus France, which is also going to be taking place. Having a prop, have knee injury that needs strapping. He won't last long, although it was Dan Sheehan, who is the hooker for the Irish. We are just seeing most test appearances. Victor Matfield at the top with 127. Brian Habana with 124. Eben Etzebeth currently sitting on 121. So he is getting close to the most capped Springbok of all time. Also on that top 5 list, the Beast was there as well. Now nicely taken by Clark Smith off the kickoff and still gets the cheer from the crowd from being able to take it nicely. Fut the Clerk having to get rid of that one out of the back of the breakdown as the ball does spill backwards for the Springboks. Now de Klerk, again rolling it back here. Or Safi here. I must admit that the Irish are determined and anything can still happen, says Herman. And Osborne, I said, was a bad pick for Ireland. Yeah, that's the thing. Hugo Keenan, if he was there, I'm sure that they would have had a pretty easy choice of who they wanted as their 15, but he has chosen the 7s, which does now leave Ireland with that gap at the back. Nice quick hands out wide. Caelan Doris cuts back inwards, has Sheehan on his flank. Casey, Peter O'Mahony, inside ball to Tygburn, gets his offload away to Casey. Now Crowley goes to Vanden Flair. Great defence from the Springboks throughout the first 30 minutes of this contest. Jamie Osborne, big shot on him by Bongi Umbonambi, and he's gone in through the side, crawling forward, so that will be the penalty against Umbonambi. Can we say this? All I want to tell you is now you'll never, ever have a compromise. Never ever hurt Rosanna. So you just want me to sing the song by the looks of it. What's your take on the Tony Brown influence, Hamish? It does seem like it has helped the Springboks out quite nicely. Like Tony Brown, he's a good coach. We saw that at times for the Highlanders. Yes, the Highlanders weren't the greatest while he was there, but I don't think that was completely his fault. At that time after the last World Cup, when Eben was asked if he could do another World Cup, he grabbed the mic and answered in one word, yes. And some people told me I was crazy online that the Boks will win by 20. I'm telling you, we are too powerful, muscular, strong, fast, athletic, and smart for this petite Irish team. I don't think I've ever heard someone describe a rugby team as petite. And I don't think I ever will again. An Ireland being worn out so early, says Denzel. And go the Bok. But this will be a nice early 3. He's missed it. Jack Crowley. That one should have been nice and simple. I like the commentary. It says, Adasiwi, thank you very much. And like I said, we are back with plenty more games. Next week, we are going to be covering South Africa versus Ireland, New Zealand versus England, Australia, Wales, and also Argentina versus France is still to come later on tonight. And we are covering it on the channel as well. But 22 drop out there. Oh, nice and high. Nicely taken, though, by Joe McCarthy, who tries to get rid of Fuff de Klerk out of his way. Casey back across to Doris in behind there. Crowley again. Tackled by Huaga Smith. At the moment, the South African defence, we're just looking in the wide view. There's no gaps that I can see clearly. Petit, the commenter, clearly has not played rugby. Says bystander, another penalty goes the way of Ireland. The aimless kicking is insane. Bring on the players who can play and think, says Stefan. And thank you for your commentary. Did you have a short sleep? From Pieton Pretoria. I did not. No, we have stayed up all throughout the night and we are continuing to stay up. The next game is actually France versus Argentina. That is kicking off in 3.5 hours time and we will still be live on the channel for that one. I just went on stream. Who scored the points for each team, says Wham. So far for the South Africans, we have seen a try from Kutli Arinsa. And then other than that, we have just seen the kicks go over from Andre Pollard, as well as the kick for Jack Crowley, although he has also missed a couple. A lot of rugby. Actually, I was a beast in club because I gymmed every day and worked trade. So I was much bigger and stronger than the others, says Gary. Do not underestimate the Irish. Worst thing ever to happen is for the Boks to get complacent. Now Dan Sheehan to throw this one in. He's taken his time. Have we got a line-out call? Okay, they were waiting to go for their rolling maul there, Ireland. Breaking off the back, Sheehan with the inside ball there to Calvin Nash, who was pumping his legs, but Umbanambi had him up off the ground. It's not a maul, so South Africa have to get out of that breakdown. Another tackle made, this time on Andrew Porter. Sia Khaleesi bringing some physicality into the breakdown. Now Joe McCarthy chopped out at his kneecaps by Franco Mostert. Back across here, Robbie Henshaw took a big shot early on from Khaleesi. Casey cross to Porter, meets head on with Oxnishi. I like the commentary, says Adasivi. Casey back to Doris. They are currently sitting 5 metres from the line, Ireland, but it's looking extremely hard to get through. Nice quick hands, though. Sheehan looked for the offload. Was it a deliberate knockdown? I don't believe it hit the hand of the South African player. Up to 7 phases now. KC back across there. Lindy maybe a little bit close to being offside there. Crowley can't find a gap. They're up to 9 phases here for Ireland once more. Casey back to Henshaw. South African defence will not budge. For Ireland to win this contest, they have to find a way through. Pollard puts in the big shot on Omani. Casey back again. Doris sitting 15 metres out now. 12 phases in. Wide cut out past that Dan Sheehan. Little flick out the back door to James Lowe, who just manages to keep it in the field of play. And Jamie Osborne on debut scores out wide for Ireland. And that is an impressive offload there. They needed something different in the way they were attacking Ireland, and they've finally found it. The little flick round the back door from Robbie Henshaw, I think it was, or in fact it was Dan Sheehan who did the flick out the back, and Jamie Osborne scores his first ever try in the international kit. We'll just check the feet of James Lowe, but yeah, that flick out the back and then just stays in the field of play. Osborne reaches out and puts it down, or does he? By the sounds of it, they just want to check to see if this one's gone into touch for James Lowe. Perhaps the crowd have seen an angle that they aren't the biggest fans of. Nah, he's done beautifully there, James Lowe. That is fantastic work from the Irish winger. And then Jamie Osborne just crushed by Huaga Smith as he scored the try. All right, the time is back on and Ireland are back into this match now. Sweet Chariot says, Spider Megan Maniaki. It's fairly quiet today, says Chantel. Yeah, they haven't really been able to get it out to him throughout this matchup, unfortunately. It just seems to be the case of you're in the scenario of, like, they just can't get it out past them, if that makes sense, like, or out into the back line like they would have liked to. There's been a lot of the forwards having to run this ball because Crowley's been a little bit trapped with where he's been on the park, but Jack Crowley now to line up this kick. It is going to be from the touchline, so quite a challenging one. Did someone on here say We won't even score a try versus South Africa. Says Dennis, that one's going to miss away to the left-hand side, 36 minutes in. And the score is 13 points to 8 in favour of South Africa. Now, I believe that was the full-time score the last time these two sides played in that Rugby World Cup. But Osborne's done well to regather that one after did have a bit of a juggle of the ball. Just joined, great commentary, bro, says I am. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated you being here. Ireland looking lackluster and nervous so far, says Ars Robinson. And what the hell was that, says Daniel. And there, but yeah, about 14 phases the Irish took there. Casey, inside of the 22, gets it off the side of the boot. He wasn't extremely happy with that. Horrendous conversion. And Springboks killing off Ireland, says Adesivi. And there's, okay, South Africa know this is a game. And I'm a good listener, says Krampus. And great pass to the wing position, spot on, says Bystander. Yeah, the fact that it was Sheehan out there and then Lowe was round the back for the offload. It was just something a little bit different for Ireland. But they needed to try something because South Africa, like I mentioned, next to the breakdown, they have been extremely strong. That one almost stolen for Ireland, but now still in the hands of South Africa, who find themselves sitting 22 metres out from the try line. Around the side. So Fuff de Klerk. Tyke Furlong telling him to use it because he wanted to try and smash him off the back. But Damien Dialendi, oh, he's been held up there by the Irish. That will be called as a maul. And in the end, Damien Dialendi sacrifices the ball for the sake of not having a scrum against him. Ireland now have got the clean turnover and the rolling maul. Now Dan Sheehan out wide. He's all by himself. He's back to space to try to go around the outside of Oxnechet. Or at the very least level. And F put the pressure on, boys, says Luke. And Crowley missed 2 essential kicks. Ireland could be ahead, no question. Says Connor Cahill there. And Hamish, are they playing 2 games total? They are. There is only a 2-match series between these two teams. Everyone wishes it was 3, but the third game for the South Africans is up against Portugal. James Lowe sends it straight down the middle of the field to Villy LaRue. Looks like he will go for the kick of his own, or does he? No, it looks like he's actually going to run this one, Villy LaRue. He has Sia Khaleesi with him, who was chopped down by Dan Sheehan. And Caelan Doris not able to turn that ball over. Oxnechet, the big man, just charges at the opposition. Porter going for the clean out and the breakdown. Ends up connecting with Fuff de Klerk as well. And now it's going to be another penalty for South Africa. And 13 minutes to lift off, says Krampus. And forcing penalty, dirty play. And Porter is having a blinder, says JDB. And even the polls know 92% think South Africa will win. Why does it not want to work? Why does it not want to work? In what regard are we talking? And somebody humbled Doris, says Wham. Where can you watch this match abroad? Depending on the country you're in, your best bet is to go on to Rugby Pass's website. They actually have got the options of where this game will be broadcast. I think that the website that I'm on as well, I might be able to find out a list of locations that you can watch this game. Right, so it's on Sky Sports Action, Sky Sport Main Event, Super Sport, and Sky Sports here in New Zealand. I'm not sure of the other options though, but those are the ones that I can see are available. Andre Pollard going to be lining up this kick. 30 seconds remaining of the first half, so this would extend the lead for South Africa to 8 if Pollard is able to get this one over, which he should be able to. It's Andre Pollard. I used to seeing him nail them from much further out than this one. He's missed. Well, that was new. Andre Pollard, there's a stunned sight. No one talked after Pollard missed that. The whole crowd went dead silent. That is now the siren sounding. I'm getting close to halftime now. It's going to be the 22 dropout for Ireland. I guess every once in a while one goes wrong. I don't think anyone expected him to miss that one though. For Andre Pollard, here comes Quagga Smith. Going to run it as hard and fast, straight as he can. Tackled inside of their own half here. South Africa looks like they want one last attack before halftime. Villy LaRue with a skip pass to Jesse Kriel. He's wrestled very close to the touchline, but just manages to stay in the field of play. Damien Dialendi with the skip pass to Frans Malherbe. The big man has a bit of a run forward. De Klerk again, short side to Cheslin Colby. Lined up early by Henshaw. Gets his offload away to Jesse Kriel. Now De Klerk Goes to Umbanambi. Big shot from Andrew Porter. Caelan Doris again gets the turnover for Ireland. Casey, he's going to kick this one into touch. And they'll go into halftime. The score of full time, the last time these two sides played, 13 points to 8. But this time, it's in favour of South Africa. Iceman missing. He did indeed miss that kick on Andre Pollard. That's unusual, says Gary. And also we have got their pressure is on him and who scored. So far we've only seen the 2 tries, Kurtley Arendse for the South Africans, and then for the Irish we saw the try out wide for the youngster Jamie Osborne on debut. Pollard does miss sometimes too. To be honest, his record is better in huge games than it is in moments like this. Is this not a huge game though? Did we not have a big build-up talking about how important this is for both of these two sides? It's 1 versus 2. It doesn't get much bigger than that outside of a Rugby World Cup. Ireland need to put some hook on these tackles, says JDB. His wife, how did we get hook twice in a row from bystander and DJB? Too many runs to judge. And we have got there there are a few sweaty hands. Now we shall see who's the better team in the second half, and this is the biggest game of the year. Why not stream the match now? We have to look at your stupid face. OMG, says 5 Fist Ace. Well, the logical answer, which a lot of people already know, is copyright. Because I haven't paid millions of dollars for the licensing, sadly I cannot show any match footage. So, yeah, you're just out of luck a little bit. South Africa need to slow down the rucks from Ireland, says Wham, and they've come off to watch the English game, says Eric J. And see Andre Hurts, or seeing Andre Hurts, says Bystander, and Quagga with the redemption from his earlier fumbles, says Hirsch. And hi everyone, I was too stressed to comment in the first half. What a game. Yeah, very close one between these two sides. This is not a huge game for South Africa, says sorry YouTube. I think a lot of people would disagree. Like, they can try and say, oh, you know, this one's just another day at the office. But, you know, everything that we have seen in the build-up of this one, they've mentioned how important this game is to them. The Springbok players themselves have said how much this matchup means to them and how much this series is going to impact them. We have got, well, you should pay millions of dollars for the streaming license, says us there. And Pollard missing with his track recurs hurts. I blame the social media hoctor, says Bystander. People watching from all around the world to watch the power of the Bok, the mighty agility and muscular athleticism of South Africa. This is a massive game for us. We are playing like bad. Did you watch ABs versus England? We did indeed. It is it not the first game? It is the first game, yes. First game of 2-match series. So if you're saying it's not a big game and South Africa lose this game, then they cannot win the series up against Ireland. And that would only be their second loss in history to the Irish in South Africa. So it's a pretty big game because you don't want that blunder on your record. Doubt it. He did and he did the hook to idiot, says 5 Fist Aced. And also Ireland look a bit rusty. Well, this is the thing. This is their first game since the Six Nations. South Africa, they did play up against Wales last week, so they've had that little bit of time to adjust. And looking at that game last week between South Africa and Wales, South Africa a lot stronger in the second half after getting some minutes under their belt. And perhaps Ireland could be a little bit similar in this contest, perhaps needing that 40 minutes to find their rhythm to then go into the second half and really ramp it up. Although altitude does make it extremely tough to be able to up that tempo. Sorry, YouTube, the number 1 versus number 2 in the world. Not a big game. Seems you don't understand what it's all about, says Brian. There's this huge non-World Cup game, biggest for years, says Cool Story Bro. And it's personal for us Bok fans. It's revenge for the World Cup. Show the world how we deal with zombies in South Africa. Never mind, I withdraw my first comment. Says sorry, YouTube. Sorry for calling you an idiot, says 5 Fist Days. To be fair, I'm used to it by now. We've been called a lot worse on a weekly basis on YouTube, so idiot's pretty light, really. And we can at least read out idiot. Some of the other stuff we get called, we can't actually read out on YouTube without getting in a lot of trouble. Next week in Durban, Proteas are the Cricket World champs. Not quite, they did finish second in that Cricket World Cup up against India. They were very close, though, to being able to secure it, just unfortunately losing it at those final moments of those last few overs. I think that there were a few crucial wickets. Klaasen losing his wicket in that final, I think, hurt them quite a bit. Commentary is good, says Lewis Smith. And next try decides the game. Ireland need to score straight out the gates in the second half. If the Boks score first, the game's over. They were robbed, says Ryan. Yeah, to be fair, that boundary catch, like from certain angles, it did look a little bit dodgy, but I think there were also just a few players who didn't quite do enough early enough, if that makes sense as well, for them in that one. And Quagga is everywhere, says Eric, who has the ball right now. It is half time in this contest. One moment, hopefully the scoreboard, there we go, it has now just updated itself so that it does say that it is half time. But looking at some of the stats for this first half, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen a bit of an advantage in possession, actually for the Irish, believe it or not, 51% for Ireland in this game. I honestly thought that South Africa would have had that penalty advantage. They have got the territory advantage though with 54%. We're seeing 1 try apiece, 244 metres gained for the Springboks compared to the 91 metres that we have seen gained by the Irish. 16 defenders beaten compared to the 9 in the favour of the Springboks. And in terms of tackles made, we have seen a 74% tackle completion from the Irish. 46 tackles made of the 62 that they have attempted, missing 16. South Africa making 88% of their tackles. 66 from 75. That is one of the big differences, although the ruck success. South Africa have lost 3 of their own rucks, whereas Ireland have won all 47 of the rucks that they have had in this matchup. 6 from 6 for the lineouts of the South Africans as well. So, it's an interesting first half, pretty even overall, other than the fact that there are a few stats that heavily do favour the Springboks, and you would think that second half, early on, they will try and really ramp it up. No visuals, how are Ireland managing to win? So much breakdown ball, says Anthony. I mean, Caelan Doris, I think something that he's done extremely well is just getting right in there and causing a little bit of hesitation from Faf de Klerk, because what that has done is meant that he's able to go through the middle of the ruck and just pick that ball up. And de Klerk, as soon as that happens, he looks to the ref, and that's when Doris has pretty much already got his hands on the ball and has managed to get the turnover for the Irish side. Bot fans are average, or on average, are the most angry, childish gimps. Seems like a pretty angry statement, though. Are you doing the Scotland game today versus Canada? We are. No, sorry, we aren't. We are doing the game between Argentina and France, but we aren't doing that game that has taken place between Scotland and Canada, just because it's not being shown here in New Zealand. But the next game, France versus Argentina, we are certainly covering on the channel. That one is kicking off in 3 hours' time. So if you are new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. These are the benches for the two sides. Faf de Klerk, of course, starting this match, but they have got Grant Williams as the replacement later on in the game, although he can also cover the wing. And then Sasha Feinberg, Ungume Zulu, he is able to cover 10, 15, or the centres if they do need a player there. For the forward pack, they have gone with that 6-2 split. So Malcolm Marx, Gerhard Stennekamp, as well as Vincent Koch in the front row. Salman Moura and RG Snyman alongside Marco van Staden. For the Irish, Kelleher, Healy and Bielam. We have also got James Ryan, Ryan Beard as the other two forward replacements. And then Connor Murray, Kieran Frawley and Gary Ringrose, who looked like he may have had to go onto the field earlier on in this match due to a bit of an injury that we saw for Robbie Henshaw. But anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are currently 44 away from 48,600. So let's see if we can get there before the end of this halftime break. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We have got plenty more international rugby coming up on the channel, as well as the Olympic Sevens that is just around the corner. Recently, the Blitzboks beating Great Britain to qualify for the Olympics. We have got the Rugby Championship. We have got the Gallagher Premiership. Come here, we will bend you over for free, says Luke. That's an interesting comment. We have got the 100% Box supporter. Good luck, guys. Do it. Show them you are the bomb squad. And the Box bench much stronger than Ireland. I don't even recognise those names, but sound like club player names. Says Gary, the fact that you don't recognise those names just tell me that you have shown a lack of awareness to URC, because all of those players are very strong throughout that competition. And the fact that they've gone with a 5-3 is an interesting one, because you would think later on in this game altitude will start to play a bit of a factor. Perhaps the players will start to tire a little bit more, but to wait and see. Tackles made though, the 16 miss for Ireland I think is a bit of a concern, but fans are unruly. They're very fanatical. They could start an organisation. Says Cats are now on halftime score, the same score to the last full-time score against Ireland, says Brent. That is true. And I mentioned dirty play by Box, and they're nobodies, says Gary. Well, you better hope the Springboks win this game then, or else that bench that you have called nobodies could have the 4th win in a row for the Irish over the South Africans. Now, of course, like I mentioned, the only time that they have managed to get themselves a win over South Africa in Ireland was in South Africa was 2017, I believe it was. They ended up losing that series 2-1, but 19 points to 11, I think, was the last match of that series. Ireland managing to take the first. Just done it again. Subscribe, guys and gals. This old guy needs your help, says Dennis. And do your homework, trolls. If you do it, make it count, says a bystander. And you need to watch more rugby, says Brian to Gary. And also, Ireland not taking the hit on the scrum, closing the gap, says Mike Bester. We actually haven't had that many scrums throughout this game, have we? Overall, I think I had the stat there before. I think we've only had, where is it? Scrums we have seen 100% and 100%. How many is it? It's not going to tell me, unfortunately. It doesn't want to show me exactly how many scrums we had. But yeah, I don't think it was a huge amount throughout that first half. Another 1 pointer for the Springboks, like New Zealand versus England. Well done, New Zealand. And I missed most of the first half. Is it a high-quality game, guys? It's been close. It's been competitive in the breakdowns. I think that is somewhere in the second half that might be able to make a difference. Hamish is still a youngster, but not an old guy, says Brian. Please do the Scotland game. It's on Discovery Plus and TNT Sports. But if it's on those two options, then surely you will be able to watch the actual game, won't you? Ireland making ridiculous unforced errors, says Phil. Yeah, I think they were up to about 3 unforced errors to the 2 of the South Africans. And then in terms of just handling errors in general, we're seeing quite a few of them for both of these sides. Second half, very close to getting underway. Kelvin Nash has been quiet throughout this game, whereas Kutli Arendse, he has had quite a bit of the ball. He managed to score himself the lone try for the South Africans in that first half from a beautiful breakaway where he went round Nash, got past Jamie Osborne, scored the early try. But I think that's something that's hurt the Springboks a little bit in this game. If I had to give one critique, it's probably every once in a while Andre Pollard has decided to kick that ball away rather than them just using that back line. Because Peter Steph-Toy, when he joins up with that back line, he has looked extremely strong. Guys, like and subscribe, says Andesvi. I said that terribly, didn't I? Compared to when I've said it before. Andesvi. There we go. What game are you watching? Says Phil Bradshaw, and Ireland are winning the scrums. What did you think of the New Zealand versus England game? I thought it was pretty competitive overall and actually a really good game of rugby. The first 30 minutes absolutely flew by. Mate Sub-Zero is here, Hamish. And the Irish guys are good. They may turn things around, however, the Box all the way. And seems like the Box gave the Irish a few freebies. Probably should be a try and a penalty up. The Irish are not being as rusty, or will not be as rusty in the second half. Seems like the bench will be the deciding factor, says Ryan. There is a chance that the benches do determine this game. I think that the big thing for the Springboks is to try and wear down Ireland early on in the second half so that they can use that 6-2 split to its full potential. Because if this game isn't played at a frantic enough pace, Ireland, I don't think, will gas out the way that the Springboks want them to. Did Australia play well? Says Lewis Smith. They played all right. You know, it was a step in the right direction for an Australian side that has been struggling throughout the last 12 months or so. As long as when we don't get destroyed by South Africa over these 2 games, I'm happy. And also, this room is now officially a Krampus-free zone, says Eric J. And New Zealand need time to learn Razor's game plan, says JDB. And of course, they are playing next week up against the English. We will be covering that one on the channel again, ladies and gentlemen. And one moment, I will go like this as well. There we go. We are good. So the odds at the moment, South Africa are the favourites, ladies and gentlemen. Ireland coming in as the underdog, seeing as they are down by those 5 points. Like I mentioned, that's really where someone like Lebok would have to come in. Better line usage would be a great start, or would be great to start with the line type game, then switch to kicking like the Box did against France. Says Stick. I do like the game plan. Like Mani Lebok, if he was in the starting lineup, I think we would have seen a little bit more running from the Springboks. Whereas with Pollard, it seems like it is not so much one-dimensional, but you know he is passing or kicking. That seems to be the 2 options. Whereas Mani Lebok, you've got that little bit of a running option. And maybe that's later on in the game where we see Sasha Feinberg, Ungame Zulu come into his own. How's Casey doing so far? He's done all right. I'd say he hasn't had a standout game, but he hasn't had a poor game. He's probably about a 6 out of 10 at the moment. For myself, at this level, there is never much of a margin, says Jan. And Libbok is overrated, says Byrne. I mean, people always like to criticise Marnie Libbok's goal kicking, but, I mean, what we saw from him over the last maybe 24 months in terms of his attacking style and the way that he's able to set up his teammates, him and Damien Valimza, that combination for the Stormers was absolutely electric. We had bad kickers for years since Sexton, the King, retired, says Smith. And the Irish fullback is playing well, says John. Yeah, he got a little bit caught out in position for that first try from Kurtley Arendse, but other than that, he's had a solid enough game, got himself the one try on the board for the Irish, but the second half is just about to start, ladies and gentlemen. Dwayne has said box the best in the world, and I think Marnie just needs more time to bloom, says Johnny Lutz. And there, but this time it will be South Africa kicking off from right to left to get us back underway for this exciting second half. Only 5 points in it. The pace of the game is very high, says Hanger Rat. So yeah, you wonder whether or not the altitude, that will start to play a bit more of a factor. Nicely taken by Joe McCarthy, a man who we hardly saw throughout that first half. Hoping for the Boks to win this one, but never expected a runaway. Says now Craig Casey, almost having a handling error there as this gets towards night in South Africa. Currently sitting 6 p.m. local time. Means that the ball will start to get that little bit more slippery. Mostert goes to Andre Pollard. Tackled on the halfway line. Trying to go for that counter ruck was Kelleher, who was already on the field for Sheehan. That is due to his injury. McCarthy tackling Quaka Smith. De Klerk, short side, Villy LaRue. The overlap is on now. Peter Steph the toy slapped in a touch by, believe it was Ty Furlong. Faf de Klerk asking for a knock on. And no will was that a knock on though. But it was worth a crack for Faf de Klerk, I guess. Hoping for the Boks to win this one. But never expected a runaway. And well, 8 years since we last beat Ireland, WTF. So yeah, Simon, yeah, it's been a long time. But of course, it's been 8 years since we've actually seen the South Africans. Wait, no, that can't be right, can it? It's 8 years. It's actually a lot longer than I know that it's been 3 matches in a row that Ireland have won. But if they have only played them 3 times in the last 8 years, that is quite sad, isn't it? Andre Pollard in behind, quick hands there. Out to Kurtley Arendse. Tackled by Gary Ringrose, who was also on the field. I believe that is for Robbie Henshaw. Bundyaki, need to see more from him in the second half. Damien Dialindi now goes off to Villy LaRue. Sia Khaleesi bumps off Craig Casey. It's close to a penalty against Jesse Creel, and that is going to be instead a penalty against Bundyaki. Where is your water today? Your tongue is going to get dry from all the talking, says Megan. We have got it down here. It's still about. There's no excuses here. A 1 point loss is a flat out loss for either team. No team building is talk after the match. Only a loser and a winner. So the ruck was formed, which meant Bundyaki was not able to do what he just did. And South Africa have decided to kick for the corner here. Andre Pollard misses one kick at the post. Now they've opted to go for their line out rather than going for the 3 points. Sheehan is off, Keller is on, he certainly is. And ball not out, mate, come on, says Simon. And there as well. And now, it's gone to ground there for the rolling maul for the South Africans. Faf de Klerk, searching for it underneath, manages to get it away to Quagga Smith, tackled by Peter O'Mahony. They're only 5 metres out at the moment from the line here. The Springboks, de Klerk goes back to Mostert. They are slowly getting closer and closer to their second try of the contest, unless the Irish can get the turnover. De Klerk, flat ball to Jesse Creel, almost went through. De Klerk again, goes off to Mostert. Bundyaki doesn't get the turnover. Pollard, back to Khaleesi. Tackled by Tyg Furlong. Peter Steph recognised the danger of a possibility of the turnover. Nash trying to roll out of there, and he's just managed to do so. It's a Beth now. Thought about the offload, does get it to de Klerk, and he's just given the ball away to the Irish. Now they've got a chance to counter-attack if they want it, but instead looks like Crowley is going to kick it downfield and look for the touchline. A territory loss for the Springboks off the mistake of Faf de Klerk. Well, my voice is sexy. says Brum there. And Pollard does not fit in with a thinking, fast-moving game. And Franco has been busy. Dare I say, not judgely impactful. Let's go the Bocky, says Charlotte. And also the Box will win, says Ivor. And they have Babongi Umanumbi now with the throw. 45 metres out from the line. Turnovers 1, 5 for Ireland, 0 for South Africa in this match so far. Umanumbi throwing in. Nicely taken by Mostert. Andre Pollard back to Damien Dearlender. Here comes Sia Khaleesi. Gets through Bundyaki. He's had a sensational game so far, Sia Khaleesi, with the ball in hand. That one was stripped, and then he's played it on the ground, Khaleesi. That was illegal, and there was also the knock-on from Pollard, but it's a penalty going the way of the Irish, the way of the South Africans. I assume that was for stripping the ball while the player was grounded here. I assume. We're going to see a replay here, but yeah, I think it was that the player was already grounded when the ball was stripped. And Kiwi lads, the referee looks hot when he walks. Interesting. We're going to see it here. So he stays on his feet. Why is that a... What's that penalty for? Did Khaleesi not play that ball on the ground when he had lost it? Interesting. But Andre Pollard going to have an opportunity to line up 3 extra points. And too many penalties from Ireland. Says Brian, your voice is sexy, says Lebo. Cheers. Now Pollard. 20 seconds gone off the penalty. I get told that all the time because of my muscles and cars. Says Gary. That was a knock-on, surely, says Bram. Pollard. He's missed again. That's 2 misses in a row for Andre Pollard. When does he miss one game? Or like 1 kick in a game, let alone 2? I got money, you know what I'm saying? I got that stuff, says Gary. Nice. Did someone have the second half link, says Kayla, and I want Cheslin Colby to sidestep. What minute we in? We are currently in the 46th minute of this contest. South Africa rushing their play, says Drink on the moon, but the 22 drop out now. That is a total of 6 points now that Andre Pollard has missed throughout this game. Off the Clerk. Going back to Eben Etzebeth. A little bit of wrestling going on between Umanumbi and one of the other Irish players. It's gone high. James Lowe calling for it. Gets it taken off him by Jesse Creel. And now he is in touch. Good defence from Bundyaki. Watching from Montreal, Hamish. I tried every Irish pub in the city and nowhere has shown it. I always appreciate your dedication to this, says John. What did Japan do to our Andre Pollard? Well, he's actually at Leicester Tigers rather than Japan. Ireland will lose this game if they continue to rack up the idiotic penalties, at least 3 or 4, completely mindless. And dear skillful kicking wizard and wonder-man Andre Pollard, super genius. And there was a knock-on before that penalty. Good, he missed it, says Brian. Pollard's time has come, says Cool Story Bro, to throw in for Ronan Kelleher. They're currently on the 22. That is their own 22, Ireland. Taking their time. Come on. Throw it. There we go. It's gone in now, and it's overthrown. McCarthy and Quagga Smith manages to get that ball. I don't think I've ever said that man's name with so much emphasis, and I don't know if I ever will again. But Peter Steph-Toy, seems like at line-out time there is a really big miscommunication for Ireland at the moment. It is not functioning the way that they'd like it to. Faf de Klerk goes back to Umanumbi, tackled by Crowley. De Klerk going back to Peter Steph-Toy. He's got Creel with him. And just dropping that ball was Kurt Liarense out wide. Beer, says Monique. Good on you, Quagga. And Kiwi lads, by the way, I'm Gary Fun. This is an alternative account I'm using. I'm using my main account and my second account. Wait, so you started a conversation with yourself from earlier on. Because you said, Kiwi lads, the referee looks hot when he walks. That was one of your comments. And then you said to yourself, hey, look at the way I walk myself. And Creel lately is on point. Says Johnny, the ball is there for the Irish this time. Curtly, don't forget your balls on the left, on the ground. Kicked him behind. That is a great kick from Ireland. Just trying to relieve some of that pressure. And 13-8, Ireland's winning score in the Rugby World Cup. That is true. Mbongi looks tired. Take him off, says Vernon. Of course, they have got the option of Malcolm Marks in the later stages. Jokes, I'm not Gary. I'm just having a laugh, says JJJHHH. Hey, bro, can I get a shout-out, says Blackjack. Yes, so shout-out to you. Then he said that I walk also because of my muscles and cars, says Gary. No, that's what you said. The Irish line out looking wobbly. Box putting a lot of pressure on us, says Brian. Now, another line out here. Itzebeth claims it at the front. Now de Klerk, they are 40 metres out. Creel has dropped it, so is Bundyar Key. And a rare error from Jesse Creel. They're listening from Greece. And Sonny Bear and Rugby, what could be better, says Jerry there. And thanks, Gary, I missed the New Zealand match as it was 3 a.m. How does the quality compare to this match, says David Parry? It's got that same close feel to it. Oh, there we go. South Africa have just made 6 changes at once. Mako van Staden, RG Snyman. They've also gone with Salman Mora, Vincent Koch, Gerhard Stennekamp, and Malcolm Marks. They're making a statement, changing them all at the same time. It's a Beth, Mostert, both making their way from the field. I'm just trying to work out who the loose forward is, who's made way for Mako van Staden. I assume it's Quagga Smith. We got Umbanambi, Oxnishe. They have both made their way from the field. Frans Malharbe is off. Joe McCarthy now making his way from the field for the Irish. And replace de Klerk and Pollard, please. And the bomb squad, Setanya and Andre Pollard's kicking leads must be like your eyes. Oh, tired eyes, Hamish. Now we win. Right, Mako van Staden is on for Sia Khaleesi is the other man that they took off. So they've left Quagga out there. And meant Irish bench should come on. Although I think they've only made 1 or 2 changes at the moment. Once again, the crowd are chanting Rassi. And whereas the ball currently, we are waiting for the scrum to take place. But it will be about 40 metres out from their own line. Ireland will have the feed. WTF, says Luke, who was captain, who was captain. It's an interesting one. Probably Fuff de Klerk, is he? Who would become captain in this case? Maybe not Dialende. Villy LaRue, maybe? And presume it's an Irish scrum, says Jonathan. Yep, it is indeed. Ireland have got themselves the feed after Jesse Creel dropped that ball. So James Ryan is onto the field. That is for Joe McCarthy. Quagga is an absolute machine, says Jared. He has come into his own throughout this match. Had 2 early handling errors, 1 penalty against him. But from there, he has gone very well. And CS says Daniel. And the bro squad is on. Prepare for the apocalypse. And Detour captain. Now Craig Casey. Put this one in. What does it look like? You're an extra in the office. Where is the Springbok jersey, mate? Says Locken. I mean, there are pretty high demand at the moment for the Springboks jersey. I'll take an extra in the office. The US or the UK version? Ricky Gervais or Steve Carell? Do let me know. I feel like more the UK, to be honest, in terms of the office. That's a penalty to Ireland at scrum time. 6 changes in the Springbok forward pack, and they have just conceded the penalty. Peter Siftotoy is the captain. All is good. And try scorers so far, we have seen Kurtley Arendse and also Jamie Osborne as the lone 2 try scorers in this contest. 1 per team. Ryan and Beard on now, says Brian. Oh, wow, says Eldon. I'm watching from Sweden, so I don't know, says Chantel. So hopefully they will criticise Pollard as they did Lebok. An American version is what we get here, says Locken. And thank you so much for this. We couldn't find anything showing the match in the Netherlands, says Sham. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. We are going to be back for next week's game between South Africa and Ireland, as well as the other internationals. Later on today, we are covering France versus Argentina as another contest that has taken place. But now the rolling ball for Ireland. They decide against using it, though. Inside ball to Ronan Gallagher. That looked a little bit high from Fuff de Klerk. Now Crowley, that was an inside ball that was also forward from Jack Crowley. Counter-attacking opportunity for the Springboks. Here comes Jesse Creel. Good pace being shown by the number 13. He's been dropped by Kieran Frawley. Now Peter Steph the Toy, 40 metres out from the line. Going at 1,000 miles an hour here. for the South Africans. Malcolm Marx with his first carry. Now de Klerk goes to Damien Dialende. Pollard in behind to Willie LaRue. Forward pass out wide to Kurtley Arendse. That isn't called by Luke Pearce. Now Faf de Klerk. Stennekamp going in behind to Malcolm Marx again. South Africa will win. Says Jamati there. De Klerk. Cross to Dialende. Mako van Staden. Tackled by Ryan Beard. Rush defence there between James Ryan and Salman Moura. Ireland looks scared of carrying it into the defensive line. They might, or they know the might and steel of muscular South African shoulders, and they don't want to feel it, but they must, says Gary. How did someone, how the hell can someone as short as de Klerk make a high tackle? Well, he stood up straight. Just managed to get on to the chin, I think. Now de Klerk, back across to R.G. Snyman. We know an offload's coming, although he wasn't able to get it in this time. Josh Van den Vlaere gets the turnover the one time. R.G. Snyman doesn't offload, is the time that he loses the ball. Kicked him behind from Craig Casey, looking for the touchline, and does get it out. Fantastic kick from the 9. Kind of ironic how the score is a reverse score from the World Cup, says Beast there. And go the box, says Rekis. Gonna see there, just over the ball. Josh Van den Vlaere. A ref has led a high tackle from Faf and a 4-pass go, says Brian. 53 minutes through, ladies and gentlemen, in this contest. Poor ball retention from South Africa, says Wham. And morning, says Marius. Welcome in. Looks like Andrew Porter might have some sort of hand injury. So that might take him from the field by the looks of it, and that would bring on, more than likely, I think it will be Kean Healy, who makes his way on. Very hard to follow where the ball is. Says Jonathan, oh, this looks like a broken finger, in fact. Or something. Maybe a sprig has cut that finger, completely sliced it like it's one of those sausages that when you put it in the pan, it bursts. Unfortunately, that is what Porter has got as his finger at the moment. But this will be a line out for the South Africans, sitting around 30 metres out from their own line, with a first throw from Malcolm Marx. No card yet. Am I surprised? Says Spider-Meek, I am a little bit. I thought that we might have seen one or two. I don't rate R.G. Snyman at all. He always looks so slow and awkward moving about like a giraffe with the grace of a donkey. But we've got to remember, R.G. Snyman's legs are about 15 metres long. So when he's looking awkward, he's still making a lot of ground, even if it looks like he's moving slow. Malcolm Marx throws it in, and the line out is not claimed by South Africa. 0% accuracy for Marx off the line out now. Josh Van den Vlaere. They sit about 25 metres out. R.G. Snyman, though, tries to get the turnover, but they will go back for the original knock-on and the scrum feed for Ireland yet again. Man, South Africa has this in the bag. I feel sorry for the Irish, says Mike Bester. And that's a South African mentality. And go the box, says Robin. And up the Celtics, says Zach. And the crowd are booing at the moment. Thanks, Hamish. Just eating sausages here. Sorry about that, Dennis. To be fair, for the best representation, you'd also need a lot of tomato sauce on said sausage so that it looks like what his finger did. 5 points difference between these two sides. We are 54 minutes through this match, and there is a big match feel between these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. Who is winning the kicking duel? I'd say probably South Africa a little bit, but to be honest, the kicking battle I don't think has been like that prominent, if that makes sense. Like there's been a few kicks every once in a while, but I don't think we've seen a clear and decisive winner of said kicking battle. I'm having a butter chicken pie, Hemi. That is a good choice. Bok, thanks for the commentary, man, says Jason D. Thank you very much for tuning in. And now it's scrum. Craig Casey puts the ball in out the back. Caelan Norris breaks through the tackle attempt of Andre Pollard. Casey goes to burn him behind. Crowley sells the dummy, isolating himself a little bit there. But Casey is now there to be able to get that ball back out. Something that Ireland pride themselves on is that ruck speed. Marco van Staden manages to just roll away enough. And Malcolm Marx goes over the ball and gets the penalty. You can hit as hard as you want. I like this ref, says Simon Barnes. I wish them to win. That's what happens when one fingers a Springboks, says Bram. And also Doris run quick well, says Gary. And good scrum contest, but over the ball there for the South Africans was Malcolm Marx. And the box says Angela. And sadly, the South African power is too much for the petite Irish. And a bit like Biltong, says Bram. But we're going to see it here in the breakdown. Gets onto it. I think maybe... Who was that who was trying to get over there? I think it might have been Ryan Beard who was struggling. Gets round Marco Fun started on the ground. It's good to see you still have energy, Hamish. That is a massive turnover from Marx. I wish I could buy a good biltong in Germany, says Mike. And he in range of the poles? No way. He is currently 40 metres out from his own line here for the South Africans. Faf de Klerk, a lot of pressure being put on him. Ireland managing to almost take that ball back, but it's a knock-on from Craig Casey. Is now called as the tackle. Vincent Koch tackled by Tyg Furlong. He did play in that game back in 2017 when the Springboks last were defeated by Ireland in South Africa. Nicely taken by Kurtley Arendse. It looked like no one really wanted it for the Irish. So Arendse said, well, if no one wants it, I will have it. Vincent Koch now goes back to Pollard. Willie LaRue trying the cross kick. Colby gets to it. And he is tackled there by James Lowe. Might have been rolling on the ground. But it's still there for Willie LaRue to play halfback. Damien Dialende goes to Gerhard Stennekamp. Klerk, flat ball to Salman Morat. They're 40 metres out now for the South Africans. If they can get 3 points here, that would give them an 8-point lead, which would give them a lead of the more than a converted try. But it's been a long time since we've seen points scored. This is still the same score as we had at half-time. And they are now 7 phases in. Ireland looking for the turnover in the breakdown, unsuccessful in that time. Caelan Doris not able to get it either. Now to Klerk, little ball pop up. Wasn't quite where it needed to be. Willie LaRue tries to slap it on. Bundy Aki trying to get the turnover. Great pressure being put on by Ireland in the breakdown, and Aki just loses his footing in the end. They've been told not to use it. And the ball is back on the side of the Irish short side, but James Lowe, it's a foot race. Malcolm Marx can't get there. Pollard misses the tackle, and Lowe goes in the corner for the Irish. They will be back to level in this contest, but Pollard's missed tackle, he somehow became the last defensive line, and he's missed it. Poor attack, South Africa says wham, and thanks for the brandy and coke. And great commentary, you're delightful. WF Pollard doing tonight, says Justin, and Sweden to draw. And they are professional. Smith says Spider make my nerves, says Tanya. And James Lowe, the counter-ruck coming from the Irish. They managed to get it back. James Lowe beats Malcolm Marx, beats Andre Pollard with the fend to the middle of his face. And Lowe scores it in the corner. Pollard is having a shocker, says Gary. Man is so slow, says Justin. I wonder why your scoreboard updated. How low can you go? And God damn it, says Gary. That was poor from the box, giving Lowe a try. And it makes me so angry. Hang on, are they checking something in the breakdown? Hang on. I think they're checking for a knock-on from Bundy Aki in the breakdown. I'm not sure whether that is at the recommendation of the ref or the recommendation of the TMO. But this is going to be interesting. Okay, they're going upstairs now. Pollard missed like 9 tackles in the World Cup final. This isn't much of an improvement so far, says Tick. Plenty of time. The well done Low. Oh, okay. So 16's hooked the ball backwards, but the TMO says he's lying on the ground in the counter ruck. So I think they're going to look to disallow this try. They're first of all checking in the breakdown. No knock on from Bundy Aki. And mincing from touch ref. TMO will win this game, says Glenn. Oh, like they've said there, there's actually a neck roll from Willie LaRue on him too. So does that mean we go back for the penalty for the Irish for taking him round the neck? Right. It's hooked backwards. He's on the floor, then hooks it backwards. It's going to be a disallowed try for the Irish. Right, it's going to be no try. Make the decision to move on, says Jerry. Referee's at it again. Says Katzenell, neck roll, red card, says Glenn. Was the neck roll before or after? It was pretty much... It was actually the player who, hooked it back was the one who had his head, pulled down. So I think it was in the process. So I think it was just before. And Boxer, you can do it. But this is actually going to become a penalty to the Springboks as well, I believe, for playing the ball on the ground. Yes, it is. Penalty goes the way of South Africa. And Bok, you guys can do it. James Lowe making Bok defence looking like a clown show. And Pollard, out of everyone on the field, he is the one that is the most relieved with that being a disallowed try. And now he has an opportunity to line up the kick. Fuff was fuffing around too much tonight. Am I the Irish are going to complain about this all week? Says Simon, and Irish can't break the line without cheating, it seems, says Gary. Nick Rowe, are we talking alligator now? Says Spider Mech. Andre Pollard, he has missed his last 2 kicks at the posts. And take Pollard off FFS, says Justin. Stats from tonight, 3 from 5. Kicking at 60%. Can he right his wrongs here, or is he overthinking it now? He's lined it up. He's missed again, Andre Pollard. He has missed 3 kicks in this matchup so far. The ref has managed to attract the mincing all to himself. Unfair. Irish going to be going for Stuno Beer. And also we always have drama in Box Island games, says Justin. And though luck for Ireland, says Esteban. I will have to run in a few more tries. Pollard swinging like me after 10 Steinlagers, says JDB. Now kicking it high, Crowley from the 22 dropout. RG Snayman having the height advantage and manages. Oh, Quagga Smith's knocked the ball on. Ireland take it back. Snayman gets straight in there. Try and get it back, but Casey back into the pocket to Frawley. Goes for the torpedo kick. It's going towards the touchline. Pollard across to Villy LaRue, who says he's going to put it up high. And he might have to actually chase this one, Villy LaRue. No one else is back there for him. Bundyaki looking tired. I wasn't able to quite get to that ball. Tyke Furlong driven backwards by Malcolm Marks. I lose Ireland. And everyone missed their kicks for all 3 matches, says Fiom. And Irish's Bundyaki not playing good, says Smith. Yeah, he's been mitigated throughout this game, and he looked extremely tired. Maybe the altitude starting to get to that man. Pollard is being paid by the Irish Mafia, says Mathinus. Now, Craig Casey has been told to use it. We are still only 5 points difference between these 2 sides. Kirkley Ardenser, not sure if he was taken off the ball there or he just ran the same line as Calvin Nash. Grant Williams goes back to a good hard Stennekamp. Doris, I think it was Ryan, in fact, trying to get the turnover. On what channel are y'all watching? For me, it is Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. Pollard could be the worst player of the year, and Eben or Ardenser or Peter Seftatoy, says Gary. Nice take from Frawley under the high ball. Ireland have got momentum at the moment. That disallowed try, though, I think would have hurt them a bit. And New Zealand didn't miss their kick. The ref blew his whistle before he could, says Glenn. How far as the kick, says Jonathan. So it was about 40 metres out for Andre Pollard, but he still missed it. Pollard now running it forward. Grant Williams goes across to Vincent Koch. The only sub to still be made for the South Africans is Sasha Feinberg Ungumezulu. Now Villy LaRue kicks it up. Cheslin Colby chasing after this one, but Lowe manages to get it under the high ball. Cheslin hasn't had too many opportunities throughout this game. Craig Casey going for the kick in behind, looking for the 50-22. And he does get it there for the Irish. Or does he? They just want to check this one. Villy LaRue saying, I want to take it quickly. He's being told, no, you can't, because it is not your line-out throw. Ireland have another line-out chance here. Dialende has not run once today yet, says Grant. Line-out Snayman. And Aki is from New Zealand, so he should be used to altitude. Says 1, 2, 3, how many minutes left? Another 17 minutes remaining in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be interesting to see how this one ends up going for the final moments. But if you are new to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 49,000 subscribers. We're only 400 away. So if you want to help us get there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. Pollard strength is kicking. We can't. Sasha Labok on his neck, Says a few there. Should I subscribe? I think so, Albino Black Sheep. Definitely if you want to watch the commentary for next week, as we are covering that game on the channel as well. KC, there's an advantage in favour of Ireland now. Last time that we saw someone score was 28 minutes ago in this matchup. Tyke Byrne, flat ball to Kelleher. Still there. The advantage is over. He's just played the hand again, and that looked like a clean out in the breakdown. There is a knock on. Oh, Casey does not look good here. RG Snyman has just flattened him. Was this illegal from RG Snyman? Was this a dirty play? Casey is knocked unconscious. They are going to have to check this one. This does not look good, though, for the halfback. Just as he was starting to find his rhythm, RG Snyman's decided that he has to get rid of him. And they really need to stop this nonsense. They are shooting themselves in the foot, says JDB. And you can do this, says MJ. And Casey is out cold, says Grant. Right, they're going to check this one here. Where is RG Snyman? So Craig Casey got his hands on the ball. Then from there, RG Snyman just flattens him after getting rid of the ball. And he was out as soon as his head hit the ground there. And, yeah, just completely knocks Craig Casey out. Always dirty from South Africa, says Glenn. And yeah, this looks like we're going to have quite a long stoppage here for Casey. We'll have to be stretchered off the field. Hopefully he is going to be all right. Like I mentioned, they already don't have Jameson Gibson Park. Irish always, I assume that's complaining from Mike there. Right, sounds like it's going to be a knock-on from Ireland, so scrum to South Africa. Just because we have a lot of dust in South Africa doesn't mean we play dirty. What the hell, says Chantel. And also RG the Assassin. And Snyman like 7 foot, pick on the small fella, says JDB. Yeah, I think it's probably the tallest player on the field versus the shortest player on the field. And unfortunately, Casey, just after getting rid of that ball, continued getting driven backwards and hit his head pretty hard. And Craig will manage. He's built like biltong. Ball soft Irish men, says Luke. To be fair, though, like, we'll look at Craig Casey's stats just for a second. They do have weight classes for a reason in mixed martial arts. If we look at RG Snyman, right, he is 2.06 centimeters tall, 131 kgs. Okay? We'll look at Craig Casey. He is 1 meter 65, 76 kgs. So RG Snyman has about a 60 kg weight advantage over Craig Casey and an extra 40 centimeters on him. So it was always going to be a hard landing for Craig Casey in this one. But Connor Murray, he has made his way onto the field and play the game. Fair South Africa, it's supposed to be sport, says Dennis. Running into a Springbok is like running into a fridge. They always say that getting tackled by a rugby player is the equivalent of dropping a fridge from 2 meters on yourself, which I have not tried, and I don't think I will. The ref is shockingly bad, says Unleashed Mystery, and can't wait for more. And Hamish, they only make them here, says Luke. Our ref has been excellent, says Mike Best, and I'm sure Pollard is coming to the end. Surely time to get new fly halves for the next Rugby World Cup, says Cool Story Bro. Yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see how it goes in terms of what the plan is for that number 10 jersey. Whether Labok is the guy, whether Pollard's the guy, whether... Because, like, Pollard's only... I think he's 29, isn't he? Andre Pollard, believe it or not. Maybe even a little bit younger. Andre Pollard, 30 years, my apologies. So, like, you know, he has still got another World Cup in him if he is the best option. Was it legal, says Jonathan? I believe so. Like, the follow-through was probably a little bit late from RG Snyman, but he had committed to it, if that makes sense. So it's one of those ones that, like, there was probably time to pull out if he wanted to, but at the same time, like, he was in the motion as well, if that makes sense. But they are still trying to put Craig Casey on that stretcher by the looks of it. They're just strapping him in at the moment. He will not be playing in the next game, I would say. And thank you to the Kiwi lads for getting up in the middle of the night, covering our game. Much appreciated. Says SC Jones. And Go the Bok. Says MJ. And Ozzy was legal. He can walk it off. Well, he won't walk it off. He's going to drive it off, I guess. They are taking him from the field on the stretcher. Leo, don't be soft, says Hensel. Yeah, it was just the big shot from Snyman, and then just the follow through. Unfortunately, like, there was nowhere that he theoretically could have put down Craig Casey. And also, once you're in the motion, you're not going to try and protect the neck of the player that you're tackling in that case. I feels like he's done a lot of miles now. And bloody good tackle. I hope he's okay. And when is the next game? Or what is the next game? The next game is kicking off in 2 hours, 20 minutes time. And that is going to be the matchup taking place between Argentina and France. So be sure to keep an eye out for that one. We are going to be also doing live streams next week. And mate, you've only discovered you today because 2 Cents wasn't covering Australia versus South Africa. Super glad you did, because I've enjoyed your commentary and the community legend, says Simon. We have also just reached the 48,600, so you would have been one of those new ones on the channel, Simon, so greatly appreciated there. You getting a power nap? No power nap at all. I will be editing during that break. Goal kicking aside, do you rate Lebock or Pollard? For attacking-wise, you know, Pollard, for me, doesn't have that same attacking prowess as Amani Lebock. But when it comes to the kicking tee, like, you have to find a way. If you aren't going to have Mani Lebock as your kicker, you need to find someone who can kick for Mani Lebock. So does that bring the future of Sasha Feinberg Ungame Zulu? Is he going to be a 10 or is he going to be somewhere else in the back line so that he can do the kicking? And speedy recovery to Casey. Hope it's nothing too serious. Says Chantel. And unbelievable. Definitely was one of them, mate. Says Simon. And there as well. But anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's got like 6 American players, but still, it's not about the nationality, it's about the skill. Says Lockin. And better get your missus to do you a big fry up. Sadly, do not have one of those. So I will have to do my own fry up, sadly. Looks like Craig Casey. He's got the oxygen mask on as well. Just because they are playing at altitude as well, it's a little bit harder to get that oxygen back into you after you have been knocked out. And got to have a good kicker. But he's waving, he's doing the thumbs up. He's trying to tell everyone he's all right. But he certainly is not going to be playing next week. I can tell you that right now. I tell you what, South Africa will be a little nervous. Says Drink on the Moon. Hamish been super impressed with the under-20 Kiwi lads. Says Luke, yeah, getting themselves a close win over France. South Africa, big game soon. They're going to be playing the English and the under-20s. I'm a new subscriber, says Angela. Thank you very much for hitting that subscribe button. Like I mentioned, we are on the road to 50,000 subscribers. How much time left? Still another 17 minutes. So plenty of time for these two sides and one of them to get themselves the victory. South Africa needs some form of points. If they get a 3-pointer, they'll be up by more than a converted try. If they score a try, it may just be enough. And Ireland going to win by 3. By 3. Okay, so you're saying one conversion and then one unsuccessfully converted try, I guess, would be the maths for that one. Big push from both these sides. Both teams standing up, and that will be South Africa who get the penalty this time. The big shove from the bomb squad. After losing that first scrum, they've certainly managed to power over that one. Just Sunbro, says Duhane. And Sasha should go get 15 million in the NFL. And Ireland going to win by 3. And rugby is played by men with appeal. That shows charisma. Oh, that ball, tell you what, that's a massive mistake from the Irish. Cheslin Colby may have just scored. I think Ireland managed to keep that ball in the field of play and then it was loose. Cheslin Colby kicked it forward. And that is a massive mistake from Ireland. And Cheslin Colby may have just scored. They will just want to check this to make sure that this one did not go out. Just start. There's the letter there. And Chizzy says James, but that is a massive try to get for the South Africans. We're going to see the replay now. They went through all the hard work. Oh, we're not going to see the sideline there from that one. I'm not sure what happened to Kieran Frawley. He tried to dive on that ball. Get in, Colby, says Grant. And why is the stadium empty? It is not. It is a sellout. Although it was, of course, empty at the time of this photo. Your nose read like noddies, says Etanet. Cheers. Welcome back. And had a handicap for altitude and the Irish are the better team, says Gary. Oh, did that touch James Lowe's thigh? This is going to be an inch type of thing here. Did he get rid of it in time? From that angle, it looks like yes. But From the other angle, it just looked like it may have brushed his thigh on his way down. That's really close. Like, really, really close. And this one could go either way. I think that's a line out, says Grant. They do not like us, says Dylan, who's playing number 8. Quagga Smith is playing. And that's a try South African style. And it's in touch, says Brian. We're going to see the replay again. So close. So close. But it's just whether it hits his thigh here. Okay. The TMO has said he's got nothing to say, that he is definitely in touch, so the on-field decision of try will remain. We need it from that far angle, just to see if that second hand is on the ball at that. We need one angle that we do not have, unfortunately. If we had that last angle, that would confirm whether or not he's hanging on to that ball. But it's his second hand. I think his second hand might still be touching that ball, but we just don't have an angle that will actually show it. Unless we got one from the far end. Oh, they're asking for the corner. They may have an angle. I'm getting a poop of all the stress, says Megan. Right, here we go. This will help us know whether or not his hand was... No, we don't have the angle. It doesn't show it from that one. Corner angle, wasn't paying attention. It was infield. They're going to stick with the on-field decision of the try. And it's on, says Boulay. And fair enough, conclusive evidence needs to be needed to overturn the on-field decision. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for all things sports. Yeah, be sure to check out the Kiwi Lads channel, of course. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. The try will remain. Crowd are happy about it. No try, obviously. WTF says unleash mystery. Yeah, unfortunately, the one angle that I think would have fully clarified was filming infield. So we didn't actually get to see it from that one. I'm not sure that's the right call, but I'll take it, says Grant. And now Andre Pollard, he has missed 3 in a row. Surely it's not 4, is it? He's got that one over this time, and that will make the score 20 points to 8. It's a try that messed up. And Lowe was out, says JDB, and the Irish going to hold on the last MO for the entire year. But yeah, sadly, the angle that would have showed us it was this corner flag angle. But the cameraman was filming infield. He was too busy zooming in on Chesil and Colby and forgot to film James Lowe as he was on the touchline. But 12 points difference now. How is it cheating? South Africa don't control the camera. Stupid comments, says Nasnin. And there as well. Oh, Bandiake, he is in touch this time. And it's going to be line out for the Irish. And while it's about time, says Franco there. Oh, they've got the option of the line out or the scrum. In this scenario, there was a knock into touch. And they don't know what we know. And also we have got there, when did the luck of the Irish turn into the salt of the Irish? And we have got there in the chat, Daniel has donated. What's the correct time? Currently 13 minutes remaining in this game. Rugby has appeal in his rugby boots. And I think Gomanur says SC Jones and something happened at the cricket. Not enough cameras that robbed South Africa, says Stefan. And also it's the right call because we the world champions and hosts should get the 50-50 decision, says Wham. I mean, the on-field decision was try, though, which is probably the better way of wording it than the champions should get the call. That's kicked out on the full from South Africa. Now, Chesil and Colby has some brilliance off the boot just before, but making the mistake. And there. FS South Africa says Orekis in the chat as well. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who is new, be sure to click that subscribe button. We're back next week for the second test match between these two sides. We are also on the road to 49,000 subscribers. So let's see how close we can get by the end of this match. Caelan Doris is still out on the field. Connor Murray, Jack Crowley off to Low there. A late shot from Mucka van Staden, but he was already in the tackling motion. Ronan Kelleher runs it forward again. Murray goes back there to James Ryan. Ireland are not out of this contest. 2 converted tries would give them the lead, but they have to score one soon, and it's another loose ball cleaned up by Bundyaki on the halfway line. And the penalty goes the way of the Irish. We aren't going anywhere, guys. Win, lose the game next week. Just subscribe, love the commentary, says Milbay. South Africa will always be number 1, of course, says Nazen. You won't get any angles you want at Loftus. Oh, there's a bit of push and shove once again here, especially when the home team is disadvantaged, says Wes. And we have got the Ireland getting demolished. I wouldn't say demolished. Like, couple inches and that would have been no try. So I feel like it's one of those ones that it's certainly... it's a game of inches, like I mentioned at the start of the contest. It's going to be a game of those little decisions, and those little moments for sides are going to determine who wins this game. They just showed the decibel level. I think it was 114. That's become a really common thing in 2024. Apparently, rather than like any other stat, they go for the crowd decibel level. I have noticed. They've done it in, like, I think it was the football. They've done it in the WWE. I think have done it. I think UFC may have done it as well. Now, Jack Crowley kicking this one towards the touch line. Does manage to get it into touch inside of the South African 22 who got the try. It is the 2 men with the headgear at the moment. Cheslin Colby and Kutli Aronsa. Colby scoring the most recent try. Now, this isn't the same as the World Cup. Bok have this in the bag. Ugh. Says a Mike with about 4 Gs. Ronan Kelleher, stolen by better Steph Toy. Colby has a bit of a fumble, so isn't able to get his kick away as quickly as he would have liked. And best team, most brutal team, according to YouTube, says Duan. And I want you to know I'm still massaging my prostate to your voice. That's a very long massage, that is for sure. You've been doing it for about 4 weeks. Now Grant Williams rolling this ball back 7 metres out from the line. Better Steph Toy is a mountain. Yeah, he's close to man of the match, I believe, for this game. Pollard, he has got that off the side of his boot, getting hardly any metres on it, only getting them to maybe 17 metres out from the line. He's got a smile on his face, Pollard. It's as if he's just having no idea why he hasn't had a brilliant game. And boys have to keep the game simple, no mistakes. And also bomb squad, says Marion. Ronan Kelleher again. With the line-out throw, uncontested this time from the Springboks. Low, flat ball to Bundyaki. Goes over the top of Pollard, trying to get the turnover. Cheslin Colby off his feet. Gives away another penalty against the Springboks inside of their 22. When the South African anthem was sung, I know Ireland did not have a chance. I've never seen it like that. Goosebumps stuff. Now Crowley again will kick it towards the corner. They want it 5 metres out, and he's got them about 10. That is a poor kick from Jack Crowley. Not a clean game, says Luke. And 3-0 for the Southern Hemisphere, says Jeff Randall. What do you think of Rassi coming on as 16 next weekend? I don't know whether you put him on as 16 for the Box. I feel like if he could come on in any way, though, he certainly would want to. I mean, we've seen him be a water boy before. And this just shows you what the difference a player and a captain like Johnny Sexton made, says Chantal. And just to add to that, someone like a Jameson Gibson Park as a halfback. Like, we talk about their ruck speed so often for the Irish. There is another advantage against South Africa. Their discipline might cost them this game if they're not careful, because they're giving Ireland back-to-back penalties at the moment. Feinberg, please, says Justin Solane with the excuses, like I said, for either side. Says, cool story, bro. Rassi could come out as a doctor, says Brett. Right, receiver entered wrong. And he'll be man of the match. I think that Peter Steph is right up there for myself in terms of the way that he has played. I'll be honest, other than... yeah, I'd go Peter Steph I'd probably have him at the top of this. Come on, Springboks, sort yourselves out. Final stretch now, guys, says Nazen. 2 times World Cup winners. This is not a match for the Bok. And South Africa is winning, says Exploring Games. They certainly are. 20 points to 8. 72 minutes gone in this fixture. Ireland need a try, and they need it soon. Whereas Feinberg, says Natasha, they have decided against putting him on the field as of yet. I think this is about giving Pollard as many minutes as they can. South Africa off their feet in the breakdown. Now big run forward from Ryan Beard. Vincent Koch took a big knock to the side of his head there. Another advantage. This is only 1 penalty or so away, I would say, from South Africa going to the bin here. Playing under penalty advantage still. 7 minutes left. Luke Pearce saying that they will play under penalty advantage for a little bit longer to see if anything comes. Another penalty advantage against the South Africans. Crowley now, short ball to Doris. Couldn't get his offload away. They're 5 metres out from the line now. To the short side. Josh van den Flair. Oh, they just keep their ball on their side there, Ireland. Finlay Beerlam played in the last match that the Irish played in South Africa back in 2017. Advantage should be called over after a certain pace, says Justin. And a couple of the boys make us proud, not worried at all. Box will win. Only team South Africa can stress about is New Zealand. Now back across Bundyaki within 3 metres now for the Irish. Loose ball. Cheslin Colby makes the tackle on Crowley, who decides to go down. Then offloads it back to Connor Murray. Charged down by Peter Steph-Toy. Double blow of the whistle. Yellow card here for Peter Steph-Toy by the looks of it. Or is it? Who's going to get it? This ref has been awful. No replays available for the poor pass in the first try. Says power bite, but it is Kurtley Ardense who makes his way from the field for the last 6 minutes. Ireland have a man advantage. Oh my days, says Dylan. Ref is anti-Irish, says Smith. Ireland just below par all game. Let's hope they're up to the mark in the next test. Amazing commentary, says Madeline. Thank you very much. Anyone who is new, of course, hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 50,000. We've got a special video planned. The ref is corrupt, says Gary. Oh, here we go. Sasha Feinberg Ungume Zulu now gets the chance with 6 minutes remaining. Not a lot of time for the youngster to work, but at least he's getting some minutes under his belt. Did I miss a warning? Can't hear the commentary, says Simon. I believe they probably would have received a warning at the end of, if they had gone back for that penalty advantage, but then they had another 1 or 2 on top of that, so that is why the yellow card came out. Now, quick tap taken by Ronan Kelleher. 2 metres out from the line now for the Irish. Short ball. Doris tries to stretch out. He's close there. Held up is the call from Luke Pearce. And it's a goal line dropout. Caelan Doris wants them to check. Okay, he's going to. They're going upstairs. Now, this is a big call here, because Luke Pearce gave that as held up, but it's from Doris asking, can you please check that? I think I've got that down. He's pretty confident, Caelan Doris, which is why he asked the referee to have another look at this one. Is it going to be the try? He's allowed one movement. I don't think he got that down. I think he was just an inch up. I love your commentating. You're the best from South Africa. Says Mario, this angle's not going to show it, so I believe the on-field decision of no try will stay. It sounds like the ref is fair, says Milbay. Ref feeling sorry for Ireland going to the TMO there. Are we going to hear the ref won us? Game all again, says Marius. This is hilarious, says JDB, and hold up being checked. Right, it's going to be stuck with the on-field decision. Now 6 minutes remaining. Springboks, they will once again have a goal line dropout. They have had to defend for the last maybe 10 minutes or so. Other than that one breakaway where Cheslin Colby was able to get the try, it has been all Ireland. I swear they're Afrikaans voodoo against Ireland, says JDB. Ireland looking for some luck, says James. Here we go. Goal line dropout for Feinberg. Ungume Zulu, his first drop kick of the day and his first touch of the ball of the day on the halfway line. James Lowe goes inwards to Caelan Doris. Hits it straight into RG Snyman. Murray uses it quickly. Beerlam with the inside ball to Keller. There are 4 Irish players there, and Connor Murray scores it between the posts. Ireland back in this game, and it's not over yet. No grounding, says Simon. There was certainly a grounding this time. I was watching your videos during the Rugby World Cup from South Africa, says Ntando there, so it is great to see you back. Of course, we've got plenty more live streams coming up. We are covering all of South Africa's games on the channel throughout the year. Their next week's game up against the Irish, the game after that up against the Portuguese that they will be playing in. But that is the try for Ireland between the sticks. That now gets them back within 5 points. Well, back to 5 points. How much time left? Still another 5 minutes remaining here. And one disadvantage. I went to the link and donated the link I received. Didn't work. What a scam, says Serena. And there as well. went to the link and donated. The link I received didn't work. What a scam. Yeah, unfortunately, you got to be very careful, like, in terms of the random links that because, like, there are those channels that have, like, a big box on the screen and they're like, follow this link and then you'll be able to watch the game, but it's never really the case. That's a big kickoff. Oh, Lowe making the mistake. Manages to keep it just in the field of play. It's off Cheslin Colby's backside. It's taken back, and it's a 5-metre scrum now for the South Africans. There was too much juice on that kickoff, but Ireland decided to play it, and now 5 metres out from the line, a big chance there. Ungume Zulu almost having a big mistake. Lowe didn't need to play it that, but he got a bit excited, and then great work from Cheslin Colby chasing it down to then be able to charge it into touch. Great commentating, spot on, says Antoinette. And his what, says Dylan? His backside. With his bottom. Cheslin Colby got the charge down. And come on the block. I did a wall, a night shift for nothing. And give Ireland a try, please, says Daniel Davids. And I Amish, says Marcel. And wind down the clock, boys. And still time for Ireland to win. But yeah, this is the chance that South Africa needed. 5 metres out from Ireland's line. A penalty to Ireland here would change the game completely. A try here for South Africa would secure them their victory in the first match up against this Irish side. But 20 points to 15. My prediction was 22-15, so I'm not a mile off if this is the way that it finishes, but I don't think it will be. And Gary, that's enough now, mate. And South Africa says Rishan, and also ref is quite bad, says Bram. No, South Africa says Orekas there. But Cheslin Colby, he's certainly stepped up throughout this second half. 3 minutes left. 3 scrum resets so far for the South Africans. Throughout this game, they just put up on the screen. Grant Williams will be the man feeding this one in. How does South Africa get into these situations? Here's Cool Story, bro. Big push there from the block. Massive push. It's going to have to be a penalty try. Yes, it is. And South Africa now, that will do it. That should be the game, and Ireland are going to go for the bin as well. Kurtley Aronson, not the only player who makes his way from the field, but that now makes the score 27-15. And okay, maybe not demolished, says RJJ. And also Liquor Island, says Daniel. And there as well. But Ronan Killay, actually the man who has been sent to the bin. I feel like he's pretty unlucky. Anyone could have found themselves getting sent off there. Well, those errors cost them the game, says JDB. And huge, says Simon. Absolutely destroyed those Irishmen. And Leka says Vistar, and Go Boys South Africa says Rishan. And there, but now both men, or both sides, playing with 14 men out there on the park for the closing moments of the contest. That one should be enough in terms of the amount of time that is remaining. I would like to think that surely we don't have time for one more try, do we? Or do we? Ireland passing out wide to Caelan Doris. If they score now, believe it or not, they still have time to come back into this. Connor Murray going back away to the left-hand side. Crowley and behind. Nice run there from Calvin Nash with the wide cutout pass to James Lowe. They're on the 22. And they have very limited time left. Doris in the corner scores it. Ireland have not given up yet. They are 7 points down, so this is a very important kick. Because if this goes over, they have a chance of a draw. Well, if they have a chance of a win. Unbelievable, says Bram. The second career try. It's actually Ryan Beard who was out on the wing. But Ireland not giving up. They decided they wanted one last crack at the try line. James Lowe, great offload to Ryan Beard, and he pins his ears back. And no one got to him in time. It's supposed to be time. Oh, bit of a mistake there. Kick under enormous pressure has missed. The ball fell off the tee, I believe, for Jack Crowley as he was running in. We'll have to see a replay of that. What happened here? Oh no, they're showing the replay of the try. But now the best that Ireland can do is draw this game. I did pick South Africa by 7, but I didn't pick them to have this scoreline. That's why I need to start just saying a team to win by this margin rather than giving exact scores, so that I'm closer to being correct. How much time left? 17 seconds remaining. Cheslin Colby is down at the moment. What type of injury is this? Looks like he's all right to continue. That's interesting. One of the trainers had actually got a GoPro on his chest. I do see. How much time left? 16 seconds in this game. And Ireland, the draw is still on the cards. Zulu kicks off long. James Lowe takes it inside of the 22 for the Irish. A turnover now for South Africa would win them the game. But if Ireland score and convert, this game will be a draw. That's a drop ball from Gary Ringrose. Is it not? They've said it's gone backwards from Luke Pearce. No, there is the knock on. And that will be the end of the game. South Africa win it 27 points to 20. In what was an extremely close game. In the end, like I said, it's a game of inches. And both of these sides had to put in a full shift to try and get over the line there. South Africa get the job done in South Africa, though. Their first time beating Ireland after 3 losses in a row. Thanks for the commentary, says Gary Salton. A few thoughts score, says Princess. We have got there, Ireland, well done, South Africa. And the crowd currently singing Rassi as well, just to try and rub salt into the Irish wounds. They'll be disappointed with that one there, Ireland. Definitely because they came back into a contest. How did the under 50 almost lose? Says Daniel. And still go on top, says V-Star. Here comes the arrogance from the supremacist attitude of the old guys. Such a shame for a humble, polite, friendly South African. We Irish supporters know you are sound out. And geez, please send some Castle Lager to the Irish Stock Exchange, says Chantel. And yeah, deserved win, says Alden. Thanks so much for the commentary. Thank you for your brilliant commentary. Your pronunciation of the South African players' names were spot on. See you again next week, and well done, lads. Still some rust to buff out. And good win for the boys. Great commentary. Take care, says Franco. Yeah, anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But this was a fantastic game. And a back and forth encounter. Few lead changes throughout it as well. It certainly was not a one-sided affair. And both sides will take the learnings from this game heading into the one taking place next week. But the next game that we are covering, ladies and gentlemen, it is at 6:50 a.m. New Zealand time. So that is going to be in an hour and 40 minutes time. That is between Argentina and France. Be sure to pop in for that contest. Man of the match, I'll probably give it to Peter Steph-Toy. I would say in the end with the way that he was able to play. Chisholm Colby had some good moments as well. I think that Peter Steph-Toy, the way he was able to run that ball throughout the first half, certainly did have a performance and a half. But nonetheless, like I mentioned, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. It's been a fun one. The eyes are very bloodshot at the moment, but that is all right. Where's your head at? Says Simon there, and Low losing. That restart killed us, absolutely killed us, says Connor. But fair play to Ireland for still firing back and getting another try. At that stage, they could have easily put their head down and said, that's it, that's the game. But they still felt like they had a half a chance of getting back into that game. I enjoyed the stream. Check you next week, says Dwayne. And of course, we are going to be covering that one next week. Why did Sia leave the field? He left the field alongside the other 5 members of the starting lineup that all went off. One of the worst box performances I've ever seen, says Emma. I wouldn't go that far. I feel like there was some very good individual performances throughout this game. Andre Pollard, his kicking. Something that not many people were anticipating, to have 3 kicks in a row missing for Andre Pollard. But it wasn't going to be enough to get this Irish side the win. But thank you all very much for tuning in. We will have a post-match quick review coming out in probably about 30 minutes time, somewhere around there, where we do go through what happened throughout this contest and look at what is in the future for these two sides. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.